Chapter 1587, A Threat. 2. Grand Elder, do you have a grudge against the second elder? Len Ruoxue was speechless. No, I didn't, I've been a little bored recently, but girl. Now that the second elder is in your hands, you have to seize the opportunity. If you can tame that old fogey, you'll have a powerful bodyguard. It'll only be beneficial to you. The first elder reminded with a smile. Of course, it would be perfect if he could witness the process of taming the second elder. Great elder, I appreciate your kind intentions, but he's a reverent god, and his strength is much higher than mine. How can I have the ability to tame him? Len Ruoxue's beautiful face showed a hint of awkwardness. To be honest, she really didn't want second elder. That fellow was definitely not someone to be worried about. TSK. Girl, you're still pretending. I'll believe it if others say they can't do it, but if you say you can, I won't believe it even if you beat me to death. First elder did not fall for it. Even now, he was still unsure of how many trump cards Len Ruoxue had. How could he believe that she had no way of dealing with second elder? Little girl. I have confidence in you. You can do it. The great elder added. Great elder, we'll talk about this later. Let's watch the competition first. Len Ruoxue sighed softly and said helplessly. She did not know why the first elder had so much confidence in her. She did not even have the patience to tame that old fellow. Following that, Len Ruoxue turned her gaze towards the competition arena. There were 12 participants in the competition today, and Ningbo was one of the people she needed to pay attention to. With Ningbo and Ning Hai's strength, it shouldn't be a big problem for them to enter tomorrow's game. However, as Ning Shan only had the strength of a deity, it was a little uncertain whether he could advance to the next round. However, after what she had said yesterday, Ning Shan would probably not show off again. It turned out that her words yesterday were still very effective. Ning Shan's opponent in the first round was another Sir God besides Ning Hai. After he went on stage, Ning Shan chose to admit defeat without hesitation. There was no suspense at all. He was only one level higher than him. Perhaps he could still try. However, he had no chance at all if he was 2 levels higher. Choosing to admit defeat and save his strength was the right choice. Ning Hai's opponent was a god-tier master. After he got on the ring, he fought with Ning Hai for dozens of rounds. After testing Ning Hai's strength, he chose to surrender. Ning Ba's opponent was also a god-tier master. Although Ning Bo won in the end, it was not an easy victory. As a result, Ning Hai and Ning Bo had entered the top 8. After the first part of the competition ended, there was a short break before the next part of the competition began. As it was a 2 out of 6 selection, the second part of the competition used a round-robin format. This round-robin competition was very disadvantageous for Ning Shan, because he was the weakest among the 6 participants. Moreover, the other 5 people regarded him as a soft persimmon that could be easily pinched. They all wanted to get points from him, because in the eyes of the other 5 people, he was basically giving away points. The final result was just as Len Ruoxue had expected. Ning Shan did not advance to the top 8. However, among the 6 participants, he did not lose the worst. This was because he had unexpectedly won 2 rounds of the competition. This result had already made him very excited. After all, he was still young and would have the chance to participate in the clan competition in the future. Hence, he was not as depressed as others had thought. After the day's competition ended, Len Ruoxue especially praised Ning Shan. Her little tail that she was so proud of was about to rise up. After that, Len Ruoxue brought the grapes, lotus seeds, and Ning Bo back to their living quarters. As soon as they entered the courtyard, they saw the second elder lying on the ground. Seeing this, Ning Bo quickly ran over with worry. Second elder. What's wrong? Ning Bo said nervously. Second elder can't die. Otherwise, it would be a huge loss for the Ning family. After all, a reverent god wasn't a big carrot. It wasn't easy for the family to cultivate a reverent god. He must not die so easily. In fact, he was overreacting. How could a reverent god die so easily? Compared to him, Len Ruoxue and the other two were much calmer. The three of them did not even look at second elder as they walked straight to the stone chair in front of him and sat down. Don't worry, his feet are just numb from standing for too long. He won't die. Grape rolled his eyes at Ningbo and said unhappily. He was a little dissatisfied with Ningbo. This Ningbo even said that he wanted to follow his miss. However, when she saw the old man of the Ning family on the ground, she immediately became nervous. This was absolutely unforgivable in her eyes. In fact, Ningbo was nervous because he had lived in the Ning family for decades. His respect for the Ning family had long been deeply ingrained in his blood. The reason why he followed Len Ruoxue was also because Len Ruoxue had done him a favor. However, following Len Ruoxue did not mean that he would see the Ning family as an enemy. Although his family was a little cold-blooded, he was still grateful to his family for raising him for so many years. Moreover, he had only followed Len Ruoxue for a short time. Even if he had sworn an oath, he would not be able to do so for a while. The habit of protecting the family was hard to change, so it took time. However, no matter how important the Ning family was to him, he would not betray Len Ruoxue. This was for sure. Ah! Ningbo was stunned. He looked at Len Ruoxue again, feeling uneasy. Oh! Is Miss angry with me? He thought. This was really just a habit of his. You, help me up. At this time, the second elder who was lying on the ground could finally speak. He pointed at Ningbo and said, "Fuck." He had been lying on the ground for a long time, but he couldn't find anyone. He finally saw her, but she was still in a daze. He was so angry. After hearing second elder's words, Ningbo looked at him and then at Len Ruoxue. In the end, he didn't dare to make a move, because he could see that the young lady and the others didn't seem to like second elder. He would be following them in the future. If he offended these three women, he might end up like second elder. Thinking of this, he couldn't help shivering. He was scared just thinking about it. Second elder, you better get up on your own. He's my subordinate, you have no right to order him around. Len Ruoxue said with a smile. You wretched girl, he's a member of our Ning family. The second elder gritted his teeth as he reminded him. He was so angry that the veins on his forehead were throbbing. Grape. Continue to serve me with the family rules. Len Ruoxue ignored the second elder and ordered Grape. Yes. Miss. Grape was overjoyed. She had already fallen in love with enforcing the family rules. She walked in front of the second elder and used her finger to poke the second elder, whose body was a little numb and soft. Then, she threw a pill into his slightly open mouth. In the blink of an eye, the second elder, who was unable to resist, became mute again. Chapter 1588, A Threat, 3, Arg. Ah! Seeing the second elder's eyes burning with rage and his hands gesturing non-stop, trying to stand up but unable to even get up, Grape's mood became even more pleasant. Ningbo's eyes and mouth were wide open, not knowing what to say. It turned out that the second elder couldn't speak because he had been punished by the family law. Sob. So scary, he had better be more honest. He was very afraid that Grape would use this family law on him. Ningbo. Don't think of him as the second elder anymore. He's now our young Miss Bodyguard, and his status is the same as yours. Looking at Ningbo who was in a daze, Grape patted his shoulder and reminded him. I need a few days to get used to it. Ningbo said with some embarrassment. He had never thought that one day he could be on the same level as the second elder. This was really exciting. However, he believed that the second elder would definitely feel uncomfortable. You can get used to it, but you are not allowed to help him. Otherwise, you will be one more person to enjoy the family punishment. Grape's beautiful eyes glared angrily as she warned. I won't help him. Grape's threat was very effective, and Ningbo quickly promised. That's a good girl. I'm going to make dinner. Grape nodded in satisfaction. Then, he pulled Lotus Seed to prepare the meal. After the dishes were ready, the four of them sat on the stone chairs in the courtyard and started eating. The second elder, who was still lying on the ground, could only smell the fragrance and watch helplessly. After the meal, the four of them went back to their rooms to sleep. Late at night, the second elder's numb body finally recovered. He stretched his arms and legs, then stomped angrily to the kitchen of the main house. Ever since he had become a reverent god, he had rarely eaten. However, the Ning family still had the habit of preparing 3 meals. After all, having a high cultivation level did not mean that they did not want to eat. The purpose of eating was not because they were hungry, but to satisfy their appetite. Therefore, the food of the Ning family was mainly exquisite and delicious. Tonight, the food that the wretched girl and the other 3 had eaten had hooked his appetite. However, the wretched girl did not leave any food for him, so if he wanted to eat, he could only go to the main residence. When he arrived at the kitchen of the main house, he saw that there was no one in the kitchen, so he looked around. However, to his disappointment, he only found a few vegetable leaves after looking around. That didn't seem possible. The second elder muttered to himself. If he remembered correctly, the food of the Ning family would be prepared regardless of the time. Of course, except for the higher-ups of the Ning family who were elders and above, the other clansmen were not qualified to enjoy such treatment at night. The second elder stood in the kitchen, lost in thought. Then, he turned around and left the kitchen. The second elder was extremely depressed about not being able to eat anything. Without realizing it, he had actually walked to the Ning family's vegetable garden. In the Ning family's main residence, there was a piece of land that was specially used to grow vegetables and fruits. It had to be said that the Ning family was a very luxurious family. In the divine world where every inch of land was worth its weight in gold, they had actually made such a large piece of land just to satisfy their own desire for food. Needless to say, the only person who would do this kind of thing was the master of the Ning family. Entering the family's vegetable garden, the second elder's eyes brightened as he looked at the green and fresh fruits in the garden. He began to pick them in a hurry. No matter what it was, he put it into his storage ring first. When he felt that it was almost full, he patted his butt and left. At this time, the vegetable garden had already been made a mess by him. On the way back to the kitchen, he picked out another ornamental fish from a river in the main house. He caught 2 of the fattest and biggest ones, and then happily returned to the kitchen. There were dishes and fish, but there was no cook. The second elder was depressed. His hands had never touched the sun and spring water. If he wanted him to cook for himself, it would be harder than ascending to the heavens. After thinking for a while, he decided to make a hard trip to find a clansman who could cook. After he found the person, he grabbed the person by the collar and brought him to the kitchen. Second elder. You want me to cook this fish for you? The clansman asked in a trembling voice. There had been rumors recently that the second elder's mental state was abnormal. Could it be that the second elder had really gone crazy? Those were family-raised ornamental fish. Looking at the size of the fish, it was definitely the largest in the river. What's wrong? I can tea. The second elder's eyes were wide open as he spoke with a displeased expression. Yes, you can. The unlucky clansman wanted to cry but had no tears. If the second elder wanted to eat it, would he dare to say no? After this matter was exposed, no one would dare to blame the second elder. It was just 2 fish. What's the big deal? Then hurry up and do it. If it's good, I'll give you half. The second elder was very generous. There were all kinds of fish in the river anyway, so he wouldn't feel bad even if he ate 1 or 2. Thank you, second elder. The unlucky clansman had a bitter expression on his face. Woo, could he reject such good intentions? He really didn't dare to eat this fish. Looking at the clansmen he had captured as able-bodied men cooking, the second elder found a corner to rest. After standing like a statue for so long, his body was still not very comfortable. That damned girl. If I get the chance, I'll definitely take revenge for this punishment. Oh right, I'll also take revenge for making me a mute. However, it seems that the time for me to become a mute has been shortened. Although I don't know what happened, I can't let that damned girl know about this. Not long after, the dishes were ready. Although there were only 4 dishes and 1 soup, it was very appetizing. The second elder saw that he was very satisfied with the dishes and called for the unlucky clansman to sit down and eat. After the unlucky clansman sat down, he casually took 2 bites and said that he was full. As for the fish, he didn't even dare to touch his chopsticks. Seeing this, the second elder did not force him. After eating and drinking to his heart's content, he returned to his residence to sleep. The next day, when he opened his eyes and woke up, he was surprised to find that he was sleeping in the courtyard, and it was that wretched girl's residence. Fuck! What was going on? He clearly remembered that he had returned to his own room. Why was he in that wretched girl's territory when he opened his eyes? Was there a ghost? He didn't believe that Leng Ruoxue could kidnap him without him knowing. After all, he was a reverent god. What was a reverent god? That was a peak-level expert of the divine realm. How could a mid-level deity possibly stand against a reverent god? No matter how he thought about it, he could not figure it out. Furthermore, when he saw his current situation, he was so angry that his face turned green, the veins on his forehead popped out, and his chest trembled because he was completely naked under the blanket. The second elder is awake. Grape's voice rang in the second elder's ears. Humph. Looking at the 4 people in front of him, the second elder snorted coldly and turned his head away. Second elder, you're so arrogant. However, you're no longer the second elder of the Ning family, and you still dare to give my family's young miss a hard time. He really refused a toast only to drink a forfeit. Miss, do you want to be punished by the family law? You're courting death. Grape said angrily, her beautiful eyes spitting fire as she glared at the second elder. Chapter 1589, A Threat. 4, Wretched girl, how dare you speak to me like this? After hearing Grape's words, the second elder was so angry that he jumped up from the ground. As the blanket on his body fell off, his naked body was revealed to the 4 of them. Upon seeing this, Grape hurriedly took out a memory crystal and snapped a photo of second elder. Leng Ruoxue and the other 2 turned around in unison. Wretched girl, what are you doing? The second elder saw the memory crystal in Grape's hand and became even angrier. However, in his anger, he completely forgot that he was naked. Second elder. Although your figure isn't that great, don't waste it. I believe that many people will be interested in your naked body. Grape said with a smirk. Damn it. The second elder suddenly remembered that he was not wearing any clothes. He quickly picked up the blanket on the ground and wrapped himself up. Then, he stretched out his arm to grab the grapes. Grape's mind shifted, and he kept the memory crystal into his ring. Then, he nimbly dodged, avoiding the second elder's demonic claws. Seeing this, the second elder continued to reach out for the grape. However, compared to the second elder, who was wrapped in a blanket and could not move freely, the grape was much more agile. Just like that, the grape and the second elder began to chase each other in the courtyard. Miss, why don't we help Grape? The second elder is a reverent god. Lotus Seed looked at the 2 people chasing each other in the courtyard and said worriedly. She was afraid that the second elder would be angry and kill the grapes. No need. The second elder won't be able to catch her. Leng Ruoxue laughed evilly as a cunning glint flashed across her beautiful eyes. Then, she sat down on the stone chair again, ready to watch a good show. The second elder chased after the grapes, but no matter how hard he tried, he could not catch the grapes that were as slippery as loaches. Furthermore, he had to pull the blanket with one hand. It was truly rather tiring. Not long after, he was drenched in sweat and panting heavily. What are you guys doing? Suddenly, a deafening roar rang in Leng Ruoxue's and the others' ears. Len Ruoxue and the rest looked towards the direction of the voice and saw the Ning family's master and grand elder leading a group of people standing at the entrance of the courtyard. The Ning family's master's face was ashen, while the grand elder had a gloating expression on his face. As for the others, they were all dumbfounded. Second brother. What are you doing? The master of the Ning family walked into the courtyard unhappily with a dark face, then sat down on an empty stone chair. Master. Second elder's heart trembled, and cold sweat immediately appeared on his forehead. What should he say? Did he say that someone had recorded his naked body? If this matter was known to others, he would lose all his face. Woo! This hateful woman, she was really too evil. You what? You're a reverent god after all, but you're actually wrapped in a blanket and chasing a maidservant in the courtyard. What kind of behavior is this? If word gets out, wouldn't my Ning family's face be completely lost by you? The master of the Ning family was furious. Master. I know I was wrong. The second elder lowered his head and said gloomily. However, the resentment he felt towards Len Ruoxue and the others grew even deeper. Why aren't you getting back and putting on your clothes? What a disgrace. The master of the Ning family ordered. Yes. Yes, the second elder replied obediently and disappeared in a flash. After the second elder left, Len Ruoxue looked at her godfather with a faint smile. Godfather. What are you doing here so early in the morning? What, you don't want to see your godfather? The master of the Ning family said angrily. How can that be? Oh. Is godfather here to freeload for a meal? Len Ruoxue guessed with a smile. Ah. The master of the Ning family was a little embarrassed. Shua had guessed it right. He had brought so many people here to let them learn how to cook from Shua. However, they seemed to have come at the wrong time. Shua. What the hell were you guys doing just now? The master of the Ning family changed the topic. The smile on his face was much more amiable than before, so much so that the Ning family members who had come with him couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. The master's face changed faster than turning the pages of a book. Nothing much, Grape and second elder were just playing around. Len Ruoxue said perfunctorily. Oh. The master of the Ning family nodded, and then said, Shua. Let these two maidservants of yours teach them how to cook. Why? Len Ruoxue was a little bewildered. From what she knew, the Ning family's chef's dishes were not bad. The food they make is always lacking in taste. It's not as good as the food your two maidservants make. The master of the Ning family said with a look of disdain. All right then. Len Ruoxue nodded. This wasn't a big deal. Following that, Grape and Lotus Seed brought the group of people that Master Ning had brought to the kitchen to observe. After they had breakfast at Len Ruoxue's place, they went to the competition grounds together. As soon as he sat down in the guest's seat, Ning Yuan came to the master of the Ning family with a dark face and reported in a low voice, Old ancestor, there was a thief in our house last night. Who would be so bold as to steal from the Ning family? Didn't the guards who were patrolling last night notice? The master of the Ning family raised his eyebrows slightly and said in disbelief. He thought that the Ning family's defense was already one of the best in the divine world. If a thief really dared to come, he would not be able to leave alive. Old ancestor, it should be the work of a traitor. Ning Yuan continued. A traitor? What did you lose? Investigate thoroughly. After the investigation, you must be severely punished. The master of the Ning family was very angry, and the consequences were very serious. If it was an outsider, he might not be so angry, but not only could he not let this traitor go, but he also had to kill 100 of them. After all, there was a good saying, it's hard to guard against a thief in the house if you're on guard day and night. We lost some fruits and vegetables, as well as 2 ornamental fish. We also found some fish bones in the kitchen. Ning Yuan said helplessly. To be honest, the old ancestor's words made him feel a little embarrassed. He did not lose anything valuable, so he did not know if he should follow the old ancestors' instructions. Ah! What kind of person was so wicked? You even stole these things. The master of the Ning family was speechless. Although these things were limited every day, if the clansmen in the main house wanted to eat, they only needed to inform the second housekeeper to record the bill. Why did they have to steal it in the middle of the night? This person was too lacking in class. We're still investigating. Ning Yuan was very depressed. Investigate. If you find out, just give them a warning. The master of the Ning family sighed. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It seemed that nothing like this had ever happened in the Ning family for so many years. Yes. Ning Yuan nodded and returned to his seat without a sound. When Len Ruoxue heard the conversation between her godfather and Ning Yuan, she was already laughing in her heart. She knew who the vegetable thief was, but she could only pretend that she didn't know because of the second elder. After all, the second elder was her man now. Following that, Len Ruoxue turned her gaze towards the competition arena. Chapter 1590, A Threat, 5, There were only 8 contestants left in today's competition. At this time, the 8 contestants were already standing on the rings with high fighting spirit. The 8 of them were fighting against each other, and the 4 rings would also compete at the same time. This was also to show the fairness of the competition and to prevent people from secretly playing tricks. The winner of the first round would advance directly. The other 4 contestants would go through a round-robin competition like yesterday's competition, and only one person would enter the final. With the referee's whistle, the matches on the 4 rings officially began. Ning Hai's opponent was the Sir God who was at the same level as him. After the 2 of them drew a group, the other participants heaved a sigh of relief. Ning Hai and the Monarch God had long wanted to fight each other. Therefore, both of them held back their energy. Their group's competition was also treated as a preview for the battle for the championship by the audience. On the arena, Ning Haishao looked at his opponent with a confident smile. I've long heard about you. Ning Hai cupped his fists slightly. Thanks for letting me win. Ning Hai's opponent also saluted back. Because the order of fighting was decided by drawing lots, he was the first one to fight in this match. Ning Hai nodded and stared at his opponent with his bright eyes. In an instant, the opponent made his move. An aqua-blue dragon soared into the sky and pounced at Ning Hai. Seeing this, Ning Hai condensed a 7-colored phoenix with his earth-type divine power and met the aqua-blue dragon fearlessly. In an instant, the dragon and phoenix were entangled together, causing dazzling sparks to fly. After the next attack, it was time to compete in speed. Ning Hai's speed was obviously faster than his opponent's. Before his opponent could make another move, he also used his water divine power to condense a light blue phoenix. The phoenix was semi-transparent, its long tail feathers floating in the air. Its lively eyes were fixed on its opponent, and suddenly, a loud phoenix cry resounded through the sky. Immediately after, the beautiful phoenix gracefully flew towards its opponent. Seeing this, Ning Hai's opponent used his divine power to form a giant blue dragon. A dragon and a phoenix met in midair. A collision. A bang was heard. With a loud sound, a dazzling light shot into the sky. Then, the 2 dragons and 2 phoenixes dancing in the air were in a stalemate. This kind of competition was not only a competition of levels, but also the storage of Shen power in the body. Under normal circumstances, the higher the level of a deity, the more divine energy would be stored in their body. However, there would always be 1 or 2 abnormal beings who were different from the rest. For example, Len Ruoxue. Although her strength was only at the mid-level deity level, the abnormal amount of divine energy in her body was so much that it was almost in a liquid state. Hence, level did not determine one's strength. However, it was fortunate that there were not many abnormal beings in the divine realm, and one like Len Ruoxue was definitely one of a kind. Otherwise, how could the others live? Len Ruoxue, who was sitting on the stage, had been watching Ning Hai's match. However, when she saw the two of them in a stalemate, she knew clearly that whoever had more divine power would be the final winner. Just as Lin Ruoxue had expected, after the two of them had been in a stalemate for a while, Ning Hai's opponent's physical strength was gradually running out, and his divine power was almost exhausted. The divine power on the two dragons that he had conjured with his divine power was slowly dissipating and becoming more and more transparent. After a while, Ning Hai's opponent wisely chose to admit defeat. This way, Ning Hai successfully entered the final round of the competition. However, after the end of this match, his physical strength and divine power were also close to being exhausted. Before the end of Ning Hai's match, the other 3 matches had already ended, and Ning Bo had successfully entered the final. After the end of this match, they would have 3 days of rest. After watching Ning Hai's match, Lin Ruoxue brought the grapes and lotus seed back to her residence. When they returned, Lin Ruoxue did not see the second elder, so she ordered the guards to bring him over. In the garden. Looking at the second elder's extremely unwilling expression, Lin Ruoxue could not help but laugh in her heart. Initially, the guard was afraid that the second elder would not be willing to come with them, and they were not second elder's match. It was only after Lin Ruoxue handed the guard a memory crystal and said that as long as they had this, the second elder would definitely come with them. Only then did the guard feel at ease, even though they did not know what was recorded inside. When the second elder saw the memory crystal, he immediately snatched it over and followed them to Lin Ruoxue's residence with a dark expression. Seeing that the mission was completed, the guard immediately disappeared. The second elder glared at Lin Ruoxue, his eyes spitting fire as he roared, "Damn it! Give me the memory crystal." The second elder was very angry. This hateful woman actually used his naked photo to threaten him. Woo! This is too much. And he couldn't hit her, otherwise, he would be the one in trouble. Because he knew that once he made a move and called the family head over, the family head would not let him off. I won, T. That's the evidence. How am I going to threaten you after I give it to you? However, as long as you're obedient, I promise that no one in the divinity will see your naked body. You know what I mean. Lin Ruoxue laughed evilly. A cold glint flashed across the depths of her beautiful eyes. She knew that the second elder was very angry at this moment. So, while she was angry at him, she also had to guard against the second elder's desperation. You, second elder's chest heaved up and down as he pointed at Lin Ruoxue. His body began to tremble again. However, no matter how angry he was, Lin Ruoxue treated him like air and ignored him completely. Second elder, I was actually forced to do this. I know you're not willing to be my bodyguard, and am not willing to either. But what's the use of being unwilling now? Neither of us can change this fact, and your strength is so high. If I don't have something against you in my hands, I'll be bullied to death by you. Lin Ruoxue said with an aggrieved expression. Chapter 1591, The tea cools down after the person leaves. 1. Of course. As long as you're obedient, we'll part on good terms. I won't show your naked body to anyone. Lin Ruoxue smiled sweetly and said in a friendly manner. You, the second elder was tongue-tied and his eyes were wide open as he glared at Lin Ruoxue. He was so angry that he was half dead. Fuck. Lin Ruoxue had ordered the guard to use a blank memory crystal to lure him here. Now, she was using his naked photo to threaten him to listen to her. For the sake of his reputation, he had no choice but to do as this wretched girl said. He was feeling extremely aggrieved. Second elder, I don't know when Godfather will restore you to your official position. During this period, let's get along harmoniously. Lin Ruoxue chuckled as she added. Helplessly, the second elder nodded his head. Woo, could he refuse? Would he dare to disagree? Don't you want your reputation? He knew clearly in his heart that once his nude photos were exposed, he would definitely become the laughing stock of others in the divine realm. At that time, it would not be a matter of him losing face, but the entire Ning family's reputation would be damaged. Also, in front of Godfather, I hope you can do your job as a bodyguard. Otherwise, you'll be the one in trouble. Leng Ruoxue reminded him with a smile on her face, with an expression that said, I'm doing this for your own good. I will. The second elder nodded unwillingly, but he couldn't help but think to himself, could it be that this wretched girl wants me to act like I'm obeying her but disobey her in secret? He had to be obedient in front of the master, but what about in private? Did he not have to listen to her? That's good. In the future, when you're in the Ning family, Grape and Lotus Seed will only be responsible for cooking, and you'll be in charge of everything else. Of course, since we're only in a cooperative relationship, you'll have to use your work in exchange for your 3 meals a day. By the way, you're a reverent god, so it shouldn't be a problem if you don't eat. Towards the end of her sentence, Leng Ruoxue started to mumble to herself. However, she felt that she had already expressed her meaning very clearly. She was not providing any food. I know. The second elder replied gloomily. He also wanted the time for him to return to his original position to pass quickly. Hence, even if he was unhappy with Leng Ruoxue, he would still perform well. At least, he had to do it for the family head to see. In addition, well, use the pearl system. Leng Ruoxue continued. What's a beating bead? The second elder was confused. He had never heard of this term before. It means that you have to finish the work I arranged for you the day before, and then you can eat the next day. To put it bluntly, if you couldn't finish the work for the day before, you would have to find your own way to eat the next day. This plan will be implemented tomorrow. Leng Ruoxue explained with a faint smile. Oh. Yes, the second elder replied softly. He thought to himself, what a vampire, she's even harsh on my food. However, just as Leng Ruoxue had said, he really didn't care if he ate or not. He had snuck into the kitchen to eat last night because he suddenly had a craving. He didn't think that he would want to eat every day. Grape. Tell the second elder what you're doing. Leng Ruoxue turned around and looked at Grape. Yes. Miss. Grape laughed to himself and took out a thin piece of paper. The second elder took it and almost fainted. The piece of paper was not big, but it was filled with the work he had to do from morning to night. He only had time to rest after dinner. This was simply abuse of the employee. Looking at the second elder's expression, Leng Ruoxue pretended to be unconcerned and said, Second elder, are you not satisfied with this work? Don't be embarrassed, just tell me if you're not satisfied. We're not outsiders. I'm satisfied. There's nothing to be dissatisfied about. The second elder's face was bitter. Even if he was not satisfied, he did not dare to say it. Although he hadn't been with this wretched girl for a long time, he was very clear that this wretched girl was by no means easy to get along with. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been at a disadvantage every time they crossed swords. Moreover, the naked photos that he was most worried about were in her hands. How could he dare to be dishonest? Woo! This was really like a tiger falling into the sun and being bullied by a dog. Humph. Wait for the day he makes a comeback. As long as there was a chance to turn things around, he would definitely take revenge. He was filled with hatred in his heart. Since we've already reached an agreement, second elder, go pack your things and move in here. Leng Ruoxue said after some thought. Move here? Why? The second elder couldn't help but ask. He didn't want to move in with this wretched girl. What freedom would he have then? You're now my young lattice bodyguard. Naturally, you have to follow by her side. Otherwise, what's the use of having you? Grape said unhappily. In her opinion, this old man was really useless except for his strength. Moreover, she secretly hoped that this old man would not finish his work every day, or she would have to prepare his meal. When she thought of this, she was 1,000 times unwilling. All right then. Although he was somewhat unwilling, the second elder did not want to haggle endlessly with them over such a small matter. Otherwise, the one who would be angered to death would only be him. He still had this bit of self-awareness. There's nothing for you to do now. Second elder, go pack your things and move them here. Leng Ruoshua lowered her head to hide her smile. Yes. The second elder nodded his head, but he had some suspicions in his heart. Was Leng Ruoshua trying to send him away so that she could carry out some shady business? However, Leng Ruoshua wouldn't give him the chance to be curious. After she finished speaking, she turned around and went back into the room. Grape and Lotus left hand in hand. As for Ningbo, in order not to be caught by the second elder, he also ran away. Because before he ran, second elder was clearly about to speak. Ningbo was very afraid. Although he respected second elder, at this moment, he didn't dare to be with second elder. After all, he was following Leng Ruoshua, and second elder would leave sooner or later. The second elder watched as the two of them disappeared without a trace. He was secretly angry. He flicked his sleeves and disappeared in a flash. After Leng Ruoshua and the rest had finished their dinner, there was still no sign of second elder. In fact, the second elder was currently sleeping in his room. Because that wretched girl had said that his work would start tomorrow. Seeing that he only had one night of freedom, he had to make good use of it. So, he was sleeping. The next day, the second elder woke up naturally. When he opened his eyes, the sky was already bright. The second elder bent over and sighed, "It's still more comfortable to sleep on my own bed." After all, he personally picked the bed and slept in it for a long time. Wait a minute. Did he forget something? The second elder, who had just woken up, was in a daze. However, he vaguely felt that he had not done something yet. Suddenly, he had a flash of inspiration and remembered that he had to start working today. From the corner of the storage ring, he flipped to the crumpled piece of paper and looked at the small, dense words on it. He felt his head swell. Chapter 1592, The tea cools down after the person leaves. 2. Sighing lightly, he thought of his deal with Leng Ruoshua and had no choice but to get out of bed. When he carefully walked to Leng Ruokshua's residence and entered the courtyard, he saw Grape, who was standing guard in the courtyard. His heart skipped a beat and a bad feeling came over him. "Second elder, you're up so early," Grape said with a face full of envy. "Hee. I'm going to work." The second elder ignored Grape's ridicule and forced a smile. "Go and wash the dishes first." Grape raised his eyebrows and reminded. "Wash the dishes? Shouldn't you clean the yard first?" The second elder frowned. He had never washed a bowl before. "Don't you know what time it is? Why are you still sweeping the yard?" Grape said in an unpleasant tone. "Ah. Then I'll go wash the dishes." The second elder was very obedient. After he finished speaking, he did not give Grape a chance to speak again and went straight to the kitchen. Looking at the second elder's back, it was Grape's turn to be depressed. This second elder was a little abnormal today. Why was he so easy to talk to? Lotus Seed, could it be that the second elder has been replaced? Looking at Lotus Seed, who walked to his side, Grape asked in a silly way. "Poochie." Lotus Seed laughed out loud and said, "Isn't it good that he's obedient? Don't tell me you want him to go against us all the time like he did 2 days ago." "I didn't mean it that way. I'm just not used to his sudden change," Grape explained. "Don't worry. The second elder was very normal, he was very smart. They know that it's useless to fight us head on, and we have something on them, so they naturally have to listen to us," Lotus Seed said. "That's true. However, I still think that it's better for him not to cooperate. This way, we can take the opportunity to mess with him." Grape laughed evilly. "The second elder isn't that stupid." Lotus Seed shook her head and laughed. The second elder was already in the kitchen. His eyes lit up when he saw the bowls and chopsticks on the stove. He ran over and picked up a bowl to take a closer look. He couldn't help but curse, "Fuck. What a prodigal." The bowls and chopsticks on the stove were all saint artifacts. This was too extravagant. Although saint artifacts were not considered very valuable in the divine realm, even a top-notch clan like the Ning clan was not extravagant enough to use saint artifacts as utensils. After all, even if saint artifacts were easy to refine, they still required a lot of refining materials. If people had those materials, they would basically keep them for refining divine artifacts. Unwillingly throwing the bowls into the sink, second elder sat by the side and sulked. He had never washed the dishes for anyone before, but now, he could only sulk in the kitchen and face these bowls and chopsticks. His heart felt desolate. Second elder. Didn't I tell you to wash the dishes? How are you going to cheat? Suddenly, Grape's voice rang in the second elder's ears. He was shocked. When did they arrive? As a reverent god, he actually didn't notice the arrival of the two little maidservants. This was really too embarrassing. The second elder hurriedly stood up and ran to the side of the pool. He picked up the bowl and began to wash it haphazardly. He was very afraid that these two maidservants would report him to that wretched girl, so he had no choice but to put on an act. Seeing through the second elder's intentions, Grape and Lotus Seed naturally wouldn't give him this opportunity. The two of them directly stood by his side and began to supervise him. You guys standing next to me, I'm not comfortable. After a long while, the depressed second elder finally opened his mouth to speak. He had been washing the bowl in his hand the entire time. Second elder, it's a good thing that my lattice bowl is sturdy. Otherwise, wouldn't it have been broken by your washing? You're courting death. Grape said angrily, her beautiful eyes seemed to be spurting flames. Ah! Finish washing this. The second elder hurriedly said as he placed the bowl in his hand on the stove. I didn't wash it clean. Second elder, do you not know how to wash the dishes? Move. I'll give you a demonstration. After Grape finished speaking, she pushed second elder to the side in disdain. Then, she picked up a bowl from the sink and began to wash it seriously. Holding the spotless and clean bowl in his hand, he smiled at the second elder as if he was showing off his power. Do you see this? Just follow this step. I know. The second elder's depression was indescribable. He had lived for so long, but today, he was actually taught a lesson and looked down on by a little girl. No, it wasn't today. It had been several days, but it was especially obvious today. Then take a good bath. We'll be here to supervise you until you finish your apprenticeship. Grape was smiling. After hearing Grape's words, the second elder's heart turned dark. He still had to wait for him to finish his apprenticeship. How long would he have to stay by his side? Sob. Why was his life so bitter? While the second elder was lamenting, he finally finished washing the dishes and passed the inspection of the grapes and lotus seeds. However, it took him nearly 2 hours just to wash the dishes, and he still had a lot of work to do. Second elder, with your work efficiency, I'm afraid you won't be able to finish today's work. Grape said sympathetically. I am not familiar with this kind of work. I won't know how to do it if I'm familiar with it. The second elder was a little embarrassed. After the series of blows from Grape, he felt a little inferior. I hope so. After witnessing the second elder's efficiency, Grape no longer had any hope for him. What should I do next? The second elder asked shamelessly as he blinked his dim eyes. Go and get the food for lunch and dinner. Grape facepalmed and sighed. Where do we go to get this? The second elder said cautiously. You don't even know this? Grape gritted his teeth and thought to himself, what kind of person is he, the second elder of the Ning family? You don't even know about such a small matter. I didn't do such a thing. The second elder's voice was very soft, and he even lowered his head as he spoke. In fact, this was mainly because he had never cooked by himself, and the food he used to eat was prepared for him by the servants around him. Therefore, he was the standard owner who would not help the oil bottle fall. The reason why he went to the vegetable garden to pick vegetables the night before was also because he was too hungry. Usually, he would order his attendant to do such a thing. However, now that he had been dismissed from his position as the second elder, he naturally could not enjoy the treatment of being served by an attendant. Go to the kitchen. Don't tell me you don't know the main house's kitchen. Grape's beautiful eyes glared at the second elder, revealing a deep disdain. I know him. I know that place. The second elder was a bit embarrassed. As the former second elder of the Ning family, if he didn't even recognize the kitchen of the Ning family's main residence, then he would be too negligent. If word got out, he would be laughed at. Then you go get the food. Remember. It's almost noon. It doesn't matter if you don't eat as a reverent god, but my young lady has to eat. Grape cautiously reminded. I know. The second elder replied, and then disappeared in a flash. Chapter 1593, The tea cools down after the person leaves. 3. The second elder left. However, the more Grape and Lotus Seed thought about it, the more uneasy they felt. In their eyes, the second elder was too unreliable. The two of them looked at each other and said in unison, why don't we go and take a look? After making up their mind, they said goodbye to Ningbo and went to the kitchen of the main house. The second elder arrived at the main house's kitchen and looked around. The kitchen door was full of people. He was about to walk in when he was suddenly pulled back by a strong man who was maintaining order. Go to the back and line up. The burly man curled his lips and said in disdain. Ah! Line up? The second elder was stunned. He had to line up to get a dish. In fact, the second elder just didn't know that receiving a dish would be so troublesome. However, his stunned expression made him look like a fool in the eyes of the burly man. Moreover, this man had only been to the main residence for a short time and didn't recognize the former second elder at all. The people in the queue did recognize him, but they didn't dare to reveal the second elder's identity in public. This could be considered as the tea turning cold when the person passed. What's wrong? Do you have an opinion? The brawny man said with dissatisfaction, his eyes almost reaching the top of his head. Do you know who I am? The second elder took a deep breath and suppressed his anger. It was fine if he was squeezed dry by that wretched girl, but who asked her to have the old ancestor's support? He couldn't afford to offend her. But now, even a servant of the Ning family dared to speak to him in such a tone and look at him with such disdainful eyes. It was really preposterous. Although the second elder had been demoted, the pride in his bones would not allow anyone to trample on it. However, he did not want to make a big deal out of it, lest others hit him when he was down. I don't care who you are. If you're here to get food, you have to line up properly. Don't cause trouble for our head butler, or else, you'll have a hard time. The brawny man said disapprovingly. In his opinion, this guy in servant's clothes was not enough to be feared. Who asked him to be a popular person by the chief steward's side? The second elder was about to get angry, but someone beside him quietly tugged at the corner of his clothes and transmitted a message, Second elder, calm down. Your status is different from the past, and he's the new head butler's confidant. Don't anger him, or you'll have a hard time in the Ning family. The person who had sent the message was the unlucky guy who had been caught by the second elder to cook for him 2 days ago. After receiving his message, the second elder nodded slightly. It was indeed better to avoid trouble now. It was better not to provoke these people. It was not that he was afraid, but he did not want to be a joke. After expressing his gratitude to the person who had sent the message, the second elder glanced at the burly man and walked straight to the end of the row. Seeing this, the strong man could not help but show a proud smile. It seemed that his words still had a certain power, the strong man thought to himself. Standing at the end of the row, the second elder's mood was unusually low. He had been high and mighty in the Ning family, but who knew that in just a few days, he had fallen from the clouds to the dust. And among the attendants present, most of them knew him, but only one person had sent him a message. Could this be the so-called fickleness of human nature? In the past, the clan members respected him and feared him. However, in the blink of an eye, he had become a fleeting cloud. Such a difference really made people feel disheartened. In the past, when he was in a high position, he had never thought that he would fall from the clouds one day. However, now he really felt it. It was a wonderful feeling. After waiting in line for a long time, there were only 3 people in front of him. The second elder, who had seen a ray of light, was extremely happy. However, just as he was about to celebrate, he was surprised to find that the people who came later ran ahead of him one by one to get the food, but the 3 people in front of him did not move at all. Fuck. What was this? Cutting the queue. I've been in line for so long, and someone actually dared to cut the line in front of me? This was preposterous. In an instant, the second elder was furious. The second elder grabbed an attendant who was about to walk past him, grabbed him by the collar, and threw him behind him. With a loud sound, the man was thrown far away. What are you doing? Are you trying to cause trouble? The brawny man who maintained order was furious. He didn't expect that someone would dare to use force in front of him. They really didn't want to live. Don't we need to line up to receive the dish? I'm just helping him. The second elder's eyes looked towards the sky as he spoke in an indifferent tone. Who said he needs to line up? Do you think he's the same as you guys? The brawny man said angrily. His bull eyes, which were as big as copper bells, glared at the second elder. He doesn't need to line up. How is he different from us? The second elder's face was full of question marks, and his bright black eyes flickered with doubt. He is 5th young lady's servant. Miss Wu was still waiting for lunch. Don't tell me you dare to make him line up and let 5th young lady go hungry. The burly man asked. Which 5th young lady? The second elder was stunned. There were too many young ladies in the clan, so he didn't know who the other party was talking about. Of course it's the Ning family's most favored young lady, Miss Ning Shi, her. The brawny man seemed to be a little self-conscious. After all, 5th young lady had personally spoken to him before. This was enough to make him proud for a while. Therefore, he took special care of the 5th Miss attendants. However, he did not dare to offend the attendants of the young master, the acting master, and the elders. Therefore, the 5th Miss was not the only one who enjoyed special treatment. Ning Shi, is the most favored young lady of the Ning family. The second elder was suspicious of the brawny man's words. In his opinion, the Ning family's most favored young lady was clearly the one who had no blood relationship with the Ning family. Even if it didn't work, there was still Ning Yen. How could it be a young lady born of a concubine? Ning Shi, might be favored, but only the acting master and some elders favored her. Wasn't she too arrogant to call herself the most favored one? Where would Len Ruoxue go? Where would Ning Yen be? Of course. So you'd better be tactful and not anger 5th young lady, otherwise I won't let you off. The brawny man threatened. What do you want to do to me? The second elder was so angry that he laughed. That wretched girl dared to threaten him because she had the capital. However, such a thing who used a chicken feather as a token of authority also dared to threaten him. He really didn't know what he was talking about. If the tiger doesn't show its might, does it think I'm a sick cat? It just so happened that he had a stomach full of grievances recently and had no place to vent them. This stinky thing is lucky. I will make you regret this. In the Ning family, there are some people you can't afford to offend. The brawny man was even more furious when he saw that the second elder still had the guts to laugh. You're right. The second elder nodded in agreement. Then, the burly man suddenly shouted, You've violated your superior and beat up your clansmen. I've decided to cancel your allocation for today. Please leave immediately. Chapter 1594, The tea cools down after the person leaves. 4. Cancel the allocation. Didn't that mean that there wouldn't be any food for him today? This can't do. This dish wasn't what he wanted to eat. If he didn't take the dish back and let that wretched girl starve to death, that wretched girl might find some excuse to punish him. He couldn't afford to take the risk. When did I offend my superior and beat up my clansmen? The second elder narrowed his eyes and asked calmly. You hit fifth young lattice attendant. The brawny man said as he looked at the fifth young lattice attendant who had not gotten up. Hit him. I just threw him to the back of the line, how is that considered hitting him? The second elder was speechless. Wasn't this accusation too far-fetched? If a 3-year-old child heard this, he would probably laugh his head off. Of course. The brawny man nodded, a hint of pride in his bull eyes. All right. I've hit him. Then what was the situation of insubordination? I hope you can clear my doubts. The second elder said seriously. He's Miss Wu's servant. His status and position are naturally above yours. You've offended your superior. The burly man said. Ah. The second elder was flabbergasted and speechless. Servants were also divided into high and low ranks. Did this silly big guy think that they were all people who served the ancestor? In the Ning family, only the people around the old ancestor would receive special treatment from the clan. No one else had that right, let alone an attendant of the fifth miss who was born of a concubine. However, when beating a dog, one should look at the owner. However, as an ancestor-level figure of the Ning family, he could not accept the face of a fifth miss born of a concubine. As the saying goes, a lean camel is still bigger than a horse. Although he was dismissed from his position as the second elder, his strength was still there. The immortal realm was a world where the strong were respected. Thus, there was no way he would give fifth young miss any face. Humph. You're afraid. Fifth young lady is someone you cannot afford to offend. Quickly go and kowtow and apologize to her attendant. Perhaps if I'm in a good mood, I will help you put in a good word. The burly man said smugly. Of course, if the second elder wanted him to say something good, he would have to give him enough benefits. Otherwise, he would not speak. After the second elder heard what the burly man said, he grabbed the burly man's collar and pulled him in front of him. You said that I went against my superiors and beat my clansmen, right? And you want me to kowtow and apologize to the servant of a concubine's daughter? You still want to get benefits from me? I'm telling you, dream on. Not to mention beating up an attendant, this old man will also beat you up. After the second elder finished speaking, he threw the brawny man to the ground again. The brawny man was just about to curse when he suddenly saw the frightening Shen power in the second elder's hand and the pressure coming from the second elder. He was instantly dumbfounded. How? How could this be possible? Although he couldn't tell the level of the person in front of him, he didn't expect the other party to have such terrifying strength. In an instant, he even felt the threat of death so close to him. Just as the brawny man was tongue-tied and unable to speak, the second elder suddenly retracted his divine power and increased the pressure. Humph. To deal with such a person who bullied the weak and feared the strong, it was enough to just use pressure. It would be a waste to even attack. And the reality was just as the second elder had thought. The frightening pressure had already made it hard for the strong man to breathe. Blood was even seeping out of his 7 orifices. Not only that, but the fine blood vessels in the strong man's eyes had also completely burst, causing his eyes to be red and swollen. His eyes were swollen until they were a line. The other clansmen were shocked to see this. However, no one was willing to plead for mercy on behalf of the strong man, because none of them dared to provoke the second elder. Fortunately, the pressure released by the second elder was only directed at the strong man. Otherwise, they would also be implicated. At the thought of this, everyone took a few steps back subconsciously. They were afraid. Second elder. Please show mercy. Suddenly, a man's voice rang in the second elder's ears. The second elder raised his head unwillingly and glanced at the man who had spoken. He then said indifferently, "Who are you? State your name." At the same time as he spoke, he also withdrew his pressure. Otherwise, that snobbish fellow's little life would not be guaranteed. Second elder. Your subordinate, Ning Dong, will temporarily take over the position of head butler. The man who spoke was around 30 years old. He had good facial features and clear eyes. He looked like a refreshing man. Oh. So, you're the new substitute butler. However, I'm no longer the second elder of the Ning family, so don't call me the wrong person. After a long while, the second elder slowly opened his mouth. In this subordinate's heart, no one can replace second elder's position. Ning Dong wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and said carefully. He had heard from his clansmen that the second elder liked to hear people flatter him, so he could only choose what the second elder liked to hear. Oh, really? You sure know how to talk, but what a pity. If you think you'll let your confidant go just because of a few nice words from you, then you're gravely mistaken. The second elder laughed coldly. As a person who had lost his power, his feelings for others were naturally different from the past. Therefore, Ning Dong's words not only did not gain the second elder's good impression, but also made things worse. This subordinate didn't mean it that way. Old forefather has misunderstood. Ning Dong cried bitterly in his heart. This second elder seemed to be different from what he had heard. What should he do? Besides, he was not allowed to call him second elder, so he could only call him old ancestor. In terms of the second elder's seniority, this was quite true. However, the second elder was still not satisfied. Only the family head is worthy of being an ancestor. Am not worthy. The second elder teased. Ah. Ning Dong was speechless. The second elder was more difficult to serve than he had imagined, but he could not afford to offend this person. Although the second elder's position had been removed by the master, he had been arranged by the master to be a bodyguard for his goddaughter. According to the third elder, the master's love for his goddaughter was unparalleled, so the second elder was even more untouchable. Previously, when he heard that something had happened here and that the second elder was involved, he had rushed over in a rush. Therefore, until now, he still didn't know how his subordinate had offended the second elder. If he asked, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to deal with the aftermath. However, he was like walking on thin ice in the Ning family. There weren't many people around him that he could trust. If he let the second elder kill his subordinate in a rage, he would be very willing to bear the consequences. Ning Dong was very anxious, and the third elder, who he had gone to ask for help, had not appeared. Therefore, the only thing he could do now was to hold the second elder back, in case the old man attacked too heavily and took the lives of his subordinates. However, the second elder did not give him any face at all. He had been struggling for a long time over the way he addressed him. What should he do? Just as Ning Dong was feeling anxious, like an ant on a hot pan, not knowing what to do, the second elder spoke again. Oh right. This subordinate of yours has convicted me of a few crimes. He said that I've offended my superiors, beat up my clansmen, and even asked me to kowtow and apologize to that trash. The second elder pointed at the servant on the ground and said coldly. The coldness in his eyes became more and more serious. Chapter 1595, The tea cools down after the person leaves. 5, well. He did it because he didn't know your identity, Ning Dong stammered. In fact, even he felt that this reason was unreasonable, but he finally knew the reason for the second elder's anger. Thinking of this, he secretly glared at his subordinate. Useless thing, he had long been warned to be careful in the Ning family's main residence, but he still caused such a thing for him. You don't know my identity? What is my status? I'm just a clan member who has been demoted, sigh. Aren't many people good at kicking people when they're down? The second elder sighed, his face filled with disappointment. Your strength is clear for all to see. No one in the Ning family would dare to disrespect you. Ning Dong said with a smile. Don't give me that. I won't let this thing go even if you say all the good things you want to say. The second elder said stubbornly. Then what will it take for you to let him go? Ning Dong asked carefully with a bitter face. I've already said that I don't intend to let him off. The second elder was getting impatient. Was he not clear enough? He actually asked again. Second brother. Why get angry with a servant? At this moment, another voice was heard. The second elder and Ning Dong both knew who the owner of the voice was. Instantly, a hint of joy emerged in Ning Dong's heart, but the second elder did not even raise his head. Second brother. Give me some face and let him off. The third elder pointed at the muscular man who was lying on the ground and unable to resist. How much is your face worth? The second elder said in an unpleasant tone. Second brother. The third elder walked over and pulled the second elder to the side. He whispered, Second brother. Give me some face. Ning Dong is still in the trial stage, and that man is his confidant. If we lose him, wouldn't it be letting others have their way? What does that have to do with me? The second elder didn't think much of it. Second brother. I'm begging you. I owe you a favor. If you need anything in the future, just say the word and I'll do my best. The third elder lowered his posture and tried to please him. Don't tell me he's going to let me off just like that for the crimes I've committed and the beating of my clansmen. Oh right, he also asked me to kowtow and apologize to Ning Shi-er's attendant. Is Ning Shi-er's servant worthy of the same treatment as our ancestor? The second elder complained. Second brother. I'll get him to kowtow to you as an apology, and I can also hand over Ning Shi-er's attendant to you. What do you think? The third elder stated his conditions. Third brother. I'm not here to look for trouble. I'm here to get my food, but after waiting in line for more than an hour, it's still not my turn. Those behind me have already gotten their food. What do you think this is? I didn't get these dishes for myself. They're for that damned head. It's almost noon. If I delay her meal and cause her to go hungry, I don't know if she'll say something to the head of the family. Also, if I'm not mistaken, that substitute butler Ning Dong is one of your men, right? Do you think he can pass the trial with his work efficiency? The second elder said with a smile that was not a smile. In the eyes of the third elder, his smug look was a threat, a fox exploiting the tiger's might. Second brother. I'll ask Ning Dong to bring the food to you immediately, and you don't have to come to pick up the food in person from tomorrow onwards. I'll ask Ning Dong to send it to the back of the mountain for you. Is that okay? The third elder coaxed him while secretly scolding the second elder for being a sly old fox. He had actually used Leng Ruoxue to shut him up. Even though he was the third elder, he really couldn't afford to offend Leng Ruoxue, who had been given special privileges by the great ancestor. Think about it, because of that woman, even the second elder was fired. If he really offended Leng Ruoxue, how good would his end be? Moreover, his cultivation was not even as high as the second elder. Do you think the back mountain is your own back garden? Is that a place where anyone can enter? Besides, taking the food is one of my jobs, you can't take it away from me. The second elder sneered. Ah. The third elder didn't expect his second brother to be so difficult to deal with today. Did he take the wrong medicine? He had wanted to say that he could hand the food over to the guards at the entrance of the forbidden area, but the second elder insisted that he could not deprive him of his job of collecting food. What else could he say? The third elder fell silent. His shrewd eyes seemed to be filled with hidden bitterness as he stared at the second elder. Just as they were looking at each other affectionately, Leng Ruoxue brought along some grapes and lotus seeds. She walked over slowly and elegantly from the small path. In that instant, second elder and third elder's hearts were in their throats. Under such circumstances, they did not wish to see Leng Ruoxue, but they could not pretend that they did not see her. Although the rest of the people present knew Leng Ruoxue's identity, they were not very clear about how much power the master had given Leng Ruoxue. This was something only the higher-ups of the Ning family knew. Leng Ruoxue's beautiful eyes flickered as she scanned the current situation. She then smiled and said, Second elder, why do you take so long to collect the food? I am in line. There are too many people. The second elder was extremely embarrassed and resentful. Woo! Why did this damned girl come? You're not done. Leng Ruoxue laughed lightly, a cold glint flashing across her beautiful eyes. I'm done. Ning Dong. What are you still standing there for? Hurry up and give the food to the second elder. The third elder spoke before the second elder could. He just wanted to send this young lady away as soon as possible. Otherwise, someone would be in trouble. Oh. Yes. Ning Dong noticed third elder's eye signals and knew that he could not afford to offend this woman. Therefore, he wanted to send Leng Ruoxue away as soon as possible as he could already guess her identity. In an instant, Ning Dong ran into the kitchen and came out again. Then, he put the storage ring in the second elder's hand and quickly stood to the side, trying to keep his presence as low as possible. He kept muttering in his heart, just pretend I don't exist. I'm begging you. Chapter 1596, Evidence of a Crime, 1. Holding the storage ring that Ning Dong had given him in his hand, second elder looked at third elder, then at Leng Ruoxue. He could not make up his mind. Should he leave? If he just left like this, wouldn't it be too easy for these lowly dogs? But if he didn't leave, wouldn't he be a laughingstock to this wretched girl? The second elder thought about it, and his brows furrowed together. Leng Ruoxue looked at the second elder, who had a conflicted expression on his face, and laughed in her heart. This old man really cared a lot about his face. It was a pity that there were so many people present. His face was probably long gone. The third elder, who was on tenterhooks, saw that the second elder was still here after taking the food. He was so anxious that he wanted to bang his head against the wall. Hurry up and leave. Don't stay here any longer. Even though he was hoping that second elder and Leng Ruoxue would leave quickly, he still had to put on an ingratiating smile on his face. Hence, at first glance, third elder looked like a silly old man. Second elder. What happened here just now? After a long while, Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Her words caused second elder and third elder to break out in cold sweat, especially when they saw Leng Ruoxue's gaze drift towards the burly man from time to time. Their hearts sank at the same time. I'm fine. It's all a misunderstanding. The third elder spoke first. As he spoke, he kept winking at the second elder. Yup. There's a small misunderstanding. The second elder bit the bullet and said, looking at the third elder with a gaze that said, you have to compensate me. The third elder returned a look of agreement. The two of them had reached an agreement. Leng Ruoxue looked at the two half-grown old men's flirtatious gazes and how they were colluding with each other. She laughed nonchalantly and asked, what's up with him? The him that Leng Ruoxue was referring to was naturally the burly man who had fainted from the second elder's pressure. The weather was too hot, he fainted from the heat. The third elder was quick-witted as he said proudly. Fainted from the sun. Leng Ruoxue's face was clearly filled with suspicion. Yes, yes. The third elder hurriedly nodded. Is the weather very hot today? Leng Ruoxue raised her head and looked at the sky. At this moment, there was a refreshing breeze in the sky. The breeze was pleasant and it was a good weather. One must know that this kind of weather was the most suitable for a trip. His body is too weak. He will faint at the slightest sign of trouble. The third elder bit the bullet and said. Is your body that weak? Leng Ruoxue's face was filled with sympathy. She then turned to third elder and said, my maidservant knows the art of silver needles. Why don't you let her help you treat it? No, no need. He's just a servant. The third elder was shocked. What silver needle technique? How come he had never heard of it after living for so long? However, regardless of whether the silver needle technique was real or fake, he would never allow Leng Ruoxue's maidservant to treat him. What if something bad happened? Third elder. How could there be a distinction between noble and lowly lives? Moreover, saving a life was better than building a 7-story pagoda. This was a great thing to do. You can't stop me, AI. I can't bear to see other people suffer, so I'm definitely going to save this person today. Leng Ruoxue said stubbornly. Following that, she gave Grape and Lotus a look. The two of them understood and immediately walked to the front of the brawny man. Third elder. Our silver needle technique has been passed down from young miss, so you don't have to worry. We can definitely cure his injuries. Grape consoled her. Then, a bunch of silver needles appeared in her hand. The silver needle was very smooth and shone with a dazzling cold light. The needle was as thick as a chopstick and about a foot long. It was a terrifying sight. Thanks after seeing the silver needle in Grape's hand. Many people of the Ning family immediately broke out in cold sweat. With such thick silver needles in his body, it was extremely painful. Was he trying to save his life or kill him? Immediately, everyone looked at the brawny man with a hint of sympathy mixed with fear, and they subconsciously took a few large steps back. At this moment, Grape had already pulled out a silver needle. The tip of the needle glowed with a cold light, and he quickly stabbed it into the unconscious man. After that, one needle after another. Half of the strong man's body was pierced like a porcupine, and the silver needles in Grape's hand were used up. However, the unconscious strong man did not wake up, but this scene had already frightened many people. Fuck! How painful it must be to have so many silver needles on your body. However, what was strange was that this strong man did not wake up. It seemed that his injuries were not light. When the third elder saw that the silver needles in Grape's hand were all used up, he finally heaved a sigh of relief. He thought to himself, fortunately, my little life is saved. When he was inserting the needle into the Grape earlier, he had wanted to stop her. However, he was afraid that he would anger Leng Ruoxue, so he did not dare to make a sound. As for the second elder, after seeing this scene, his heart went thump thump thump. His heart was filled with fear. These women were really too terrifying. It seemed that they had been merciful to him. However, before everyone could calm down, Lotus Seed smiled at them and took out a silver needle of the same thickness and size. She slowly stabbed it into the burly man's body. Immediately, a few of the more timid ones fainted. Most of the people were pale and looked like they had lost their souls. After Lotus Seed had inserted more than 30 needles, the brawny man lying on the ground finally woke up from the pain caused by the silver needles. He jumped up 10 meters high and kept shouting, "Fuck! It hurts!" Then, he descended from the sky. When he saw the long silver needles on his body, he passed out again. Seeing this, Lotus Seed had no choice but to continue with the acupuncture. Looking at the burly man who had been pricked like a porcupine, Grape and Lotus Seed looked at each other, satisfied with their work. Then, the two of them pulled out the needles from the burly man's body one by one. However, to everyone's surprise, the burly man did not bleed at all. After pulling it out, the two of them did the same thing again, repeating the action of inserting and pulling out the needle. After doing it a few times, the strong man finally woke up again. However, at this time, his body seemed to be in a mess. There was not a single place on his body that did not hurt, and it was as if there were insects biting his body. Since you've woken up, you should treasure your little life. I'll remember it. My family's young miss is your life savior. Grape held a bunch of silver needles in her hand, glaring at him with her beautiful eyes as she warned. Yes, yes. The brawny man nodded his head in fear. This time, he did not dare to faint again. The silver needle swayed back and forth in front of his eyes, causing his body to tremble like a willow in the wind. When the crowd heard Grape's words, they could not help but think in their hearts, how shameless. That brawny man had clearly woken up from the pain of being pricked by needles, yet they had actually become his saviors. How was this saving his life? This was clearly a life and death situation. At this moment, they felt 120,000 points of sympathy for the burly man, but they couldn't help him. Chapter 1597, Evidence of a Crime, 2, Third Elder. I didn't fail you. Grape looked at the third elder with a smile. Thank you, Grape and Miss Lotus Seed. The third elder said gloomily. What the hell is this? She was stabbed half to death by them, and she actually had to thank them. This was really unfair. You're too polite, third elder. Miss often admonishes us that doing good deeds is a must, and we shouldn't expect anything in return. Grape said innocently. However, her words did not seem to be the case in the ears of third elder. What did this mean? He had only expressed his thanks, but the other party had said that he didn't want anything in return. Did he have to give them benefits after almost killing his people? The third elder was extremely depressed and at a loss. His resentful gaze kept drifting towards the second elder, as if to say, "You're the one who caused this trouble." However, the third elder's flirtatious looks were completely ignored by the second elder, because his thoughts were all used on rejoicing. He couldn't help but think to himself, it seems that compared to that unlucky brawny man, I'm still considered lucky. At least I didn't suffer so many needles. Who? That was close. The second elder and the third elder seem to have a good relationship. They're always sending signals with their eyes. At this moment, Leng Ruoxue sighed again. Her beautiful face was filled with envy. Her words caused the two half-grown old men, who had different thoughts, to quickly come back to their senses. They subconsciously kept a safe distance so as not to give people a bad association. Leng Ruoxue looked at their anxious expressions and laughed in her heart. However, she maintained a serious expression on her face. Second elder, third elder, what's wrong with that person? Leng Ruoxue pointed at one of the servants. Ah. The third elder wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and was at a loss for words. This was because he had no idea what had happened to that person. When he had rushed over, his attention had been focused on the second elder. In addition, Leng Ruoxue had also arrived. Hence, he had not noticed that someone had fainted. Miss Leng, that man is the servant of our Ning family's most favored fifth miss. The second elder lifted his eyelids and said in a neutral tone. Oh. Is he also weak? Leng Ruoxue was extremely curious. Then, she muttered to herself, why are there so many weak people in the Ning family? It seems that when there is time, I will have to let my maidservant give you a good diagnosis. When she said this, her face was full of worry. However, her words scared everyone half to death. Someone immediately shouted, Miss Leng. He didn't faint because he was weak, he was knocked unconscious by second elder because he cut the queue. Cut the queue. That's a big problem. Leng Ruoxue turned her gaze towards third elder and the rest. Her gaze caused their hearts to palpitate. Leng Ruoxue's malicious gaze was simply too terrifying, causing them to feel flustered. Don't worry, Miss Leng. Such a thing will never happen again. The third elder quickly promised. What about this time? Are we just going to let him go like this? Leng Ruoxue was very dissatisfied with third elder's words. I won tea. He would not let him off. He would be dealt with strictly according to the clan rules. Miss Leng, please rest assured. The third elder smiled, trying to please him. That's good. Then I'll wait for the third elder's decision. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Let's go back. Leng Ruoxue then said to Grape and the rest. Following that, the three of them and the second elder returned to their residence in the forbidden area behind the mountain. After returning to the forbidden area, Leng Ruoxue sat on the stone chair in the courtyard. She stared at second elder with a smile that was not a smile, causing second elder's hair to stand on end. Even though second elder really wanted to know why Leng Ruoxue kept staring at him, he was afraid that Leng Ruoxue would find trouble with him because of the previous incident. Hence, he could only be like a little wife and not make a sound. Second elder. You still have a lot of work to do today, don't you? Leng Ruoxue asked indifferently. Thanks, I'm going to work. After hearing Leng Ruoxue's words, the second elder whispered. Watching the second elder's back, Grape's face was filled with dissatisfaction. Miss. Why should we help him deal with that guy? He didn't even tell us the truth. Grape had a very strong opinion of the second elder. In fact, they were very clear about what happened in the kitchen just now. However, in order to put on a show, they played dumb. They did not expect the second elder to not tell them the truth. Could it be because they were outsiders? As soon as she thought of this possibility, she was filled with anger. He's a prideful person. He naturally doesn't want us to know about such an embarrassing matter. Leng Ruoxiu understood. You really just want to keep your face. Wasn't it to protect the Ning family? Grape was very doubtful. Second elder has been in a high position for many years. Besides us and Godfather, who in the Ning family dares to make him angry? That old man is a proud and unyielding man, but today he was humiliated in front of the younger generation of the family. Do you think he would be willing to let us know of such an embarrassing matter? Leng Ruoxiu laughed. That's true. What a pitiful second elder. Grape was a little sympathetic. Which part of him is pitiful? Wasn't he just ignored by a junior? Isn't it normal for the tea to turn cold when the person is gone? Leng Ruoxiu said disapprovingly. Hee. Miss words make sense. Grape said in a friendly manner. Then, he continued, Miss. We're going to cook. After saying that, she pulled Lotus Seed away. After lunch, Leng Ruoxiu was invited by the people sent by Ning Haolan. When they arrived at Land Garden, Leng Ruoxiu was a little surprised to see Ning Haolan, who had a serious expression on his face. What happened? Leng Ruoxiu was puzzled. Follow me. Ning Haolan said. Then, he brought Leng Ruoxiu to a room in a side courtyard of Land Garden. A young man was lying unconscious on the bed in the room. His breathing was weak, his expression haggard, and his body was covered in wounds. At a glance, one could tell that this man was seriously injured. Can he still be saved? Ning Haolan frowned as he looked at Leng Ruoxiu. Ning Wen's injuries were too severe for ordinary healing pills to save him. Who is he? Leng Ruoxiu asked instead of answering. My servant, Ning Wen. Ning Haolan sighed. He's Ning Wen. Where did you find him? Leng Ruoxiu was very curious. In Biancheng. Ning Haolan was a little sad. Ning Wen had been by his side since they were young, but now, he had betrayed him. This made him extremely disappointed. My men found him on the streets of Biancheng. According to speculation, he should have run to Biancheng by himself, but we can only know the exact situation after he wakes up. Ning Haolan explained simply. Can you save him? Ning Haolan asked. Yes, I can. Leng Ruoxiu said with certainty. To her, curing Ning Wen was just a matter of taking a pill. However, even if she managed to cure Ning Wen, she did not want to let him off. However, she believed that Ning Haolan hated Ning Wen even more than she did. Chapter 1598, Evidence of a Crime, 3, I'll have to trouble you to cure him. Ning Haolan pleaded. All right. Leng Ruoxiu was very generous. She then took out a milky white pill that glowed with a brilliant light and passed it to Ning Haolan. She then found a chair and sat down. Ning Haolan placed the pill into Ning Wen's mouth. Not long after, the wounded Ning Wen slowly woke up. Ning Wen opened his eyes and the first thing he saw was Ning Haolan. He quickly jumped off the bed and knelt in front of Ning Haolan, tears streaming down his face. Young master. I'm sorry. You know you've let me down, but you still did that. Ning Haolan said coldly, and the coldness in his eyes grew. Young master. I have my own difficulties. Ning Wen's face was ashen. He did not expect that he would be able to keep his life. He had thought that he would never see his young master again. You've been by my side for so many years, what difficulties can't you tell me? You have to betray me. Ning Haolan was speechless. When Ning Wen heard Ning Haolan's words, he lowered his head deeply and did not dare to speak. He knew that his betrayal had hurt the young master. However, in his most desperate moment, the only thing he could think of was to apologize to the young master if he had the chance. Besides, he did not dare to ask for the young master's forgiveness. Who asked you to go to the warehouse to retrieve the forgotten soul? Ning Haolan asked after a while. It's fifth young lady. Ning Wen said in a low voice and lowered his head even more. You actually dare to listen to her orders? Ning Haolan squinted his eyes and said unhappily. Fifth young lady sent people to capture my entire family and threaten me. She wanted me to use the young master's name to retrieve some forgotten souls for her. I had no choice but to listen to her. However, later on, I found out that my family had died an unnatural death and realized that fifth young lady wanted to silence me. So, I fled from main city. I didn't expect that I would be found by fifth young lattice people in the end. Fifth young lattice people hit me off the cliff. I thought I was dead for sure, but I didn't expect to survive. However, my injuries were too serious. The place where I was injured was very close to Biancheng, so I went there. I wanted to have a chance to come back to the main city to see the young master for the last time, but I almost died there. Ning Wen spoke softly and cried as if he had been greatly wronged. Are you willing to testify against Ning Shi'er? At this moment, Leng Ruoxue finally spoke. I'm willing. Ning Wen said without hesitation. Although he did not know who the woman who spoke was, a woman who could be with the young master was definitely not an ordinary woman. He still had a good eye for this. Other than retrieving Ning Xier's soul, what else have you done for her? Leng Ruoxue asked with a smile. There's nothing else. However, I know that she has bribed many people in the family. Moreover, the people she sent to kill me are very powerful. Ning Wen replied honestly. Right now, he really wanted to atone for his crimes with his achievements. Hence, he would answer whatever Leng Ruoxue asked, as long as it was within his thoughts. After hearing Ning Wen's words, Leng Ruoxue muttered to herself for a moment before she said to Ning Haolan, Young Master Ning. Let him have a good rest. Let's go out. Ning Haolan nodded and left the room with Leng Ruoxue. After returning to the main courtyard of Lan Garden, Ning Haolan brought Leng Ruoxue to the living room. After they sat down, Ning Haolan couldn't help but ask, what are your plans? You're the one who should be asked that. Leng Ruoxue smiled. Ning Shi'er is my stepsister, Ning Haolan said after sighing. Thanks, I know. Even if she was your biological sister, I would still take revenge for Shaner, let alone your sister. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. We don't have a good relationship, but uncle pampers her a lot. Ning Haolan explained. If that's the case, then there's even less to worry about. Leng Ruoxue laughed coldly. Actually, she had wanted to make a move on Ning Shi'er after the Ning family's competition was over. However, she did not expect to find Ning Wen. This way, things would be easier. I won't let her off either. Ning Haolan said through gritted teeth. The incident back then had always been a thorn in his heart. If it had not been for Ning Xier's mother, his parents would not have died. Although the main culprit was already dead, Ning Xier was still alive and stirring up trouble. In the past, he had kept Ning Xier alive, not only because he was weak, but also because Ning Xier was too good at acting. It was rare to find anything that could be used against her, so he had to make use of this good opportunity. When do you plan to make your move? Leng Ruoxue asked. If we can't make a move in a day or two, then we can only wait for the clan competition to end. Ning Haolan frowned and thought for a while. I still have a match with her. Godfather said to let us compete after the family competition. If you attack now, I'm afraid our competition will be ruined. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. You want to compete with her? Ning Haolan raised an eyebrow. Of course not. I'm only a mid-level deity. Even though she's only a deity, she's 2 levels higher than me. Leng Ruoxue said helplessly. In reality, she really didn't care whether they competed or not. She didn't care about Ning Xier at all. The key thing was that she didn't want to expose herself too early. Otherwise, she would have taken action the moment Ning Duan betrayed Ning Xier. It was precisely because she didn't take Ning Xier seriously that she hadn't made a move. If that's the case, let's go find the acting patriarch and the elders to discuss this matter. Ning Haolan was also afraid that a long delay would bring more trouble, so he wanted to cut the Gordian knot as soon as possible. Previously, he was afraid that Ning Duan's words alone would not be able to gain the trust of the acting master and the elders, so he had not taken any action. Now, if he still could not convict Ning Shi'er with 2 witnesses, then he would be a failure as the young master. Leng Ruoxue nodded. Even though this did not go according to her plan, it did not matter much. Both of them were people of action. After making their decision, they sent someone to invite the acting family head and the elders, while they went to the meeting hall to wait. Not long after, Ning Yuan and the other elders arrived. Seeing that Ning Haolan and Leng Ruoxue were already seated in the meeting hall, Ning Yuan and the other elders did not say anything even though they had their doubts. Seeing that they were silent, Leng Ruoxue and Ning Haolan actually had a tacit understanding not to speak either. Instead, they sipped their tea in silence. After a long time, Ning Yuan finally could not sit still. Miss Leng, Haolan, is there anything important that you've requested for a family meeting? Ning Yuan couldn't help but ask. The competition between the families had been called off for the past 2 days. He had wanted to rest well, but who knew that Hao Lan would call for a meeting? If he was alone, he might have asked Hao Lan to postpone the meeting. However, with Leng Ruoxue around, he couldn't say that. Acting clan head. I've found Ning Wen. Ning Haolan said with a faint smile. Chapter 1599, Evidence of a Crime, 4, Really? Where is he? Ning Yuan was overjoyed. Ever since the sulfur-getting incident, some of the clan members had been criticizing Hao Lan in private. Some said that he had not been strict enough to keep things under control. Some felt that he was not innocent because Ning Wen, who had been to the storeroom, had gone missing. As a result, Hao Lan had no evidence to prove his innocence. Although most of them believed in Hao Lan, gossip was a fearful thing after all. I've already sent people to keep an eye on him, acting patriarch, elder. Ning Wen has already told me everything. Ning Haolan spoke frankly, then repeated what Ning Wen had said earlier. When the elders heard this, they were all shocked, because this answer was too unexpected. None of them had thought that Ning Wen's soul stealing was actually under Ning Shi'er's instructions. How is this possible? Ning Yuan was especially surprised. Why would Shi'er, who was usually very obedient, do such a thing? This was too unacceptable. In his eyes, Shi'er had always been someone to be cherished. Although she was a little willful sometimes, it was not a big deal. Moreover, he also believed that this was because she had lost her parents when she was young, so he doted on her even more. In addition, Shi'er had always lived very carefully, as if walking on thin ice. What was the purpose of such a cautious Shi'er doing such a thing? He could not understand. Acting clan head. Nothing is impossible. You've never really understood her. If you knew what the people below were saying about her, you wouldn't be so surprised. Ning Haolan helplessly reminded him. He knew that his first uncle would not believe him so easily. Besides, this would hurt his first uncle quite a bit. How would he feel if the junior he had always doted on and loved like a pearl had been playing with him? Ning Yuan was speechless. Was what Hao Lan said true? Had Shi'er been lying to him all this time and acting with him? He could not believe it. How old was Shi'er? If she had been trying to please him since she was young, then how deep was her shrewdness? Acting clan head. Everyone says that Ning Shi'er is our Ning family's most favored young lady, and 5th Miss has always been arrogant and domineering. Even 5th Miss maidservants and attendants are superior to the others. At this time, the 3rd elder slowly spoke. There's such a thing. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Ning Yuan's eyes widened as he asked in disbelief. I've only heard of it, and I don't have any concrete evidence, so how am I supposed to tell you? Moreover, what you hear is false, and what you see is true. It's useless to just listen to others, the key is that you have to see it for yourself. The 3rd elder said helplessly. When Leng Ruoxue saw 3rd elder's expression, she could not help but curse in her heart. What a cunning old fox. All the elders present, except for Ning Yuan, probably knew what kind of person Ning Shi'er was. Yet, she did not tell anyone. Clearly, the drunkard's intentions were not in the wine. They didn't care about Ning Shi'er at all. Just Ning Shi'er alone wouldn't be able to cause much trouble. The people they were worried about were Ning Yuan and Ning Haolan. The reason they had left Ning Shi'er alone was probably to create an opportunity for Ning Yuan and Ning Haolan to make mistakes. However, although Ning Shi'er was willful and pampered, she had done a good job of keeping up appearances. At the very least, she would not let anyone find any real evidence against her. Even if he was caught, he could just find an excuse that he was young and insensible. It was precisely because of this that Ning Yuan and Ning Haolan had never encountered any major problems. However, Ning Haolan was the one who had picked the fight, so she was really curious about the elder's reaction. You've also heard about it? Ning Yuan turned his gaze to the other elders present. I've heard about it. All the elders said in unison. This was no secret, so how could they not know? Only the acting master would be so silly as to think that Ning Shi'er was an honest and obedient girl. Damn it! Ning Yuan gritted his teeth. The veins on his forehead were throbbing, and the anger in his heart was slowly rising. His hands that were holding the chair's handle were holding it so tightly that his nails were sinking in. Please don't be angry, acting patriarch. This is the evidence I've collected regarding Ning Shi'er's crimes. Please take a look. Ning Haolan handed over a palm-sized booklet. Thanks. After Ning Yuan took it, his hands trembled as he opened it and browsed through it. His face turned from white to red, from red to green, from green to black to purple, and from purple to black. The colors alternated one after another, like a palette, and it was not exciting. While he was watching, Len Ruoxue and the rest were silently drinking their tea, and no one disturbed him. Suddenly. Bang! With a crisp sound, Ning Yuan slammed the booklet on the table. With a dark face, he ordered the guard, men. Bring the fifth young lady here. Yes. The guards outside the hall responded and quickly left. After waiting for a while, fifth miss was brought in by the guard. After entering the meeting hall and seeing the crowd in front of her, a hint of impatience flashed in Ning Shi'er's eyes, but her beautiful face still had a smile. Uncle. Why did you call Shi'er over? Ning Shi'er's voice was extremely sweet. If Len Ruoxue did not know what kind of person she was, she might have thought that she was a pampered girl. Unfortunately, Ning Shi'er was a vicious wolf in the coat of a delicate woman. She was pretending to be weak. There's something I want to confirm with Shi'er. The other elders sipped their tea gently and pricked up their ears to listen to the conversation between Ning Yuan and Ning Shi'er. Uncle, if you have anything to say, just say it. Shi'er will definitely tell you everything I know. Ning Shi'er said obediently. From the corner of her eye, she suddenly saw Len Ruoxue sitting in an inconspicuous position, and the anger in her heart rose. Why was this damned woman here? Ning Shi'er's heart was filled with anger. She did not want to see Len Ruoxue, but this woman was everywhere. Look at what this is. Ning Yuan threw the booklet he had thrown on the table at Ning Shi'er. The booklet hit Ning Shi'er and fell to the ground with a thud. Ning Shi'er didn't know what was going on, but she could feel her uncle's displeasure. As such, she carefully picked up the booklet on the ground, and with one look, her beautiful face turned pale. It turned out that this book actually recorded all the things she had done over the years, and all of them were bad things. What should he do? Ning Shi'er's heart was burning with anxiety. She didn't know how to get away with it. Moreover, Len Ruoxue was here, and she didn't want her to make a fool of herself. After thinking about it for a while, Ning Shi'er forced herself to calm down. She still didn't know who had given this book to her uncle, so she couldn't panic. Uncle. I don't understand what you mean. Did Shi'er do something wrong? Ning Shi'er looked aggrieved, and tears welled up in her beautiful eyes. Chapter 1600, Evidence of a Crime, 5, Were you the one who did this? Ning Yuan asked coldly, the coldness in his dark eyes growing stronger. Uncle. Who is framing me like this? How could I do such a thing? Uncle, please make the decision for me. The tears in Ning Xier's eyes flowed down her cheeks from the corners of her eyes, making her look very pitiful and heartbreaking. I was the one who told the acting patriarch. Ning Haolan said with a faint smile. Big brother. I know you don't like me, but I'm still your sister. How could you frame me? Ning Xier said in disbelief. Her eyes were wide open, and there was a hint of disappointment and sadness in them. My mother only gave birth to me. I don't have a sister. So, you don't have to try to get close to me. I'm not your uncle, so I won't fall for your tricks. As for whether the contents of the book are true or false, you know it in your heart. Ning Haolan sneered. Why are you talking so much nonsense with her? She won't admit it. Leng Ruoxue lifted her eyelids and said indifferently. That's true. If she was willing to admit it, she wouldn't be her. Ning Haolan smiled. Of course I won't admit it. You're clearly working together to frame me. Ning Xier said angrily as she turned her resentful eyes to Ning Yuan. In the past, if she had done something wrong or had any requests, as long as she looked at her uncle like this, he would immediately surrender and stand on her side. It could be said that this look of hers had been tried and tested. However, this time, Ning Yuan resisted the urge to look at her. Ning Xier was dumbfounded. Why is it not useful? Did her uncle not believe her anymore? No. This was absolutely not allowed. Her uncle was her biggest backer. If he didn't help her, what position would she have in the Ning family? For a moment, she was a little panicked. What does fifth young lady have that is worth us framing? Leng Ruoxue couldn't help but laugh. She realized that Ning Xier's paranoia was quite serious. They obviously didn't care about it, but Ning Xier thought they were framing her. You're jealous that I'm favored by the Ning family. Ning Xier said after some thought. You're favored? It was so funny. Is there anyone else in the Ning family who dotes on you besides the acting master? Leng Ruoxue said with a speechless expression. I am a direct descendant of the Ning family. Ning Xier was at a loss for words. She really couldn't think of anyone else in the Ning family who doted on her other than her eldest uncle. Those elders who usually spoke up for her had only treated her differently because of her eldest uncle and her stepbrother. Other than that, she really didn't seem to have anything to be proud of. Therefore, she couldn't lose her status. Ha ha ha. Leng Ruoxue could not help but laugh out loud. Which one of you here isn't a direct descendant of the Ning family? You have the lowest status here. Ning Haolan warned. She's not. She's not part of the Ning family, so what right does she have to be sitting here? Ning Xier pointed at Leng Ruoxue and shouted with jealousy. Thanks, fifth young lady. Miss Leng is the elder ancestor's goddaughter, so she has this privilege. So, don't compare yourself to her, you can't win. The third elder spoke earnestly. Even if all of them were to join forces, they would not be as important as Leng Ruoxue in the old grand madame's heart. It was infuriating to compare people. There was no point in being jealous. However, third elder's words had seriously provoked Ning Xier. Her eyes were red, her facial features were distorted, and her face was gloomy as she glared at Leng Ruoxue. Then, she ran in Leng Ruoxue's direction. You damned vixen, how dare you frame me? I won't let you off. Ning Xier shouted as she ran. However, before she could get close to Leng Ruoxue, she was blocked by a force. In front of Ning Xier, there was a barrier formed by a barrier. Whenever she wanted to rush to Leng Ruoxue's side, that damned barrier would block her from entering. She looked at Leng Ruoxue, who was sitting on the other side of the barrier and drinking tea leisurely, and the anger in her heart grew even stronger. After trying a few times, Ning Xier still could not break through the barrier. She could only look at Leng Ruoxue with hatred in her eyes. Her sinister gaze made the few elders who were looking at Ning Xier feel their blood run cold. Fifth young lady. You can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. You know very well what you've done, so why do you need to be framed by others? Leng Ruoxue's face was full of mockery. I didn't do it. I didn't do anything. You're the ones who framed me. Uncle. They're framing me, quickly arrest them. Ning Shi'er yelled at the top of her lungs. Her state of mind startled Ning Yuan. Ning Yuan was flabbergasted and speechless. He suddenly felt that Ning Shi'er was like a hot potato, a little tricky to deal with. As for the others, they chose to treat Ning Shi'er as air, not even looking at her. Bring the person up. Glancing at Ning Shi'er, Ning Haolan ordered the guards outside the hall. As soon as Ning Haolan finished speaking, someone walked in from outside. It was Ning Wen, who had just escaped death. Ning Wen saluted the substitute family head and the elders, then stood in the middle of the hall. You. Are you a human or a ghost? When Ning Shi'er saw Ning Wen, her face turned pale and her body trembled slightly. Ning Wen, was it Shi'er who ordered you to steal the forgotten soul in Haolan's name? Seeing Ning Shi'er's expression, even a fool like Ning Yuan could guess that she was feeling guilty. Although Hao Lan had told him what had happened, he still wanted to hear it from Ning Wen himself. Yes, I am. Ning Wen nodded and repeated what he had told Ning Haolan. The elders looked at each other after he finished, but no one spoke. Ning Wen, do you know what crime it is to frame a direct descendant of the family? Ning Yuan asked again after a while. This subordinate knows, everything this subordinate says is true. I hope you can investigate this on behalf of the patriarch. Ning Wen knelt on the ground with a thud and lowered his head in a dispirited manner. Acting clan head. You can also ask Ning Duan about this matter. The soul-forgetting item that Ning Duan used back then was given to him by Ning Shi'er. Ning Haolan suggested. Chapter 1601, I'm not close to you. 1. Ning Yuan looked at Ning Haolan's confident appearance and felt a mix of emotions in his heart. He nodded slightly and sent a guard to call Ning Duan. After Ning Duan entered the meeting hall, he looked around at the people present. His heart suddenly jumped, but he quickly calmed down because he knew why he had come. After bowing to Ning Yuan and the elders, Ning Duan stood beside Ning Wen. Ning Duan. At the start of the family competition, the soul of oblivion that Ning Shan was injured with was given to you by Ning Shi'er? Ning Yuan asked without any joy or anger. When Ning Duan heard Ning Yuan's words, he was stunned. Although many people in the clan suspected that he was the one who had poisoned Ning Shan with the forgotten soul, he had not managed to gather enough evidence since he had refused to admit it. Therefore, this matter had always been ambiguous. Other than that demon Leng Ruoxue and the young master, this was the first time that someone had directly told him about this matter. He glanced imperceptibly at Ning Haolan, and only relaxed when he saw him giving him a look. Yes. When Fifth Miss gave me the soul forgetfulness, she told me to use it on Ning Shan and Ning Hai when I have the chance. Ning Duan said with his head lowered, not even daring to breathe. Why did Fifth Miss give Ning Shan and Ning Hai, these two collateral relatives, the Wang Hun? An elder asked curiously. This was also something that they could not understand. With Fifth Miss status, she had nothing to do with the two of them who were collateral relatives. Ning Hai and Miss Leng once offended Fifth Miss. Therefore, the poison that was put in Ning Hai and his brother's mouths was also aimed at Miss Leng. Ning Duan gave a simple explanation. What? All the elders were shocked. So there was such a thing. No wonder the fifth young lady would make things difficult for Leng Ruoxue at her welcome banquet. This was much easier to explain. Elders, there's no need to be surprised. Ning Hai and I did have some conflicts with Fifth Miss. Leng Ruoxue said with a faint smile. Following that, she told them what had happened. When the elders heard it, they couldn't help but sigh. Wasn't Miss Wu too narrow-minded? You want to kill him for such a small matter? You're wrong. All of you are ganging up to frame me. All of a sudden, Ning Shi'er's shrill voice reverberated in the meeting hall. She had just snapped back to her senses when she heard Leng Ruoxue's words. However, she only heard the end of the sentence. Even so, it was enough for her to know that she had been reported again. Hearing Ning Xier's words, Len Ruoxue only smiled faintly and didn't say anything else. In front of everyone, it was impossible for Ning Yuan to exonerate his niece, so she was happy to sit by and watch. Impudent. Is this a place where you can make a ruckus? Ning Yuan's face was stern, and his tone was very displeased. Uncle. How could you just watch as I'm being wronged by them? Ning Xier felt extremely wronged. Her uncle had always doted on her, but now, he was not speaking up for her. Ning Wen accused you of using him to steal the Wang Hun, while Ning Duan accused you of using the Wang Hun to harm Haishan and Ning Hai. Now that the evidence is conclusive, what else do you have to say? Ning Yuan sighed and said in disappointment. Uncle. They've wronged me. I've never done such a thing. Ning Xier's eyes were filled with tears as she said pitifully. The acting patriarch. Now that the evidence is irrefutable, there's no need to talk nonsense with fifth young lady. The third elder couldn't stand it anymore. He said impatiently, sigh. How could the Ning family have such a young lady? The truth was right in front of her eyes, but she still refused to admit it. She really didn't know who Ning Xier's character was like. Ning Yuan nodded and did not give Ning Xier any chance to deny it. He then ordered the guards to take the three of them away. The truth was already clear, so there was no need to ask further. Uncle. Uncle. You can't do this to me, Ning Xier's crying voice echoed in the meeting hall. The elders only frowned when they heard this, but no one spoke first, and their eyes all turned to Ning Yuan. Thanks, cough, cough. Elders, let's discuss the punishment for the three of them. Ning Yuan coughed a few times before he said. He was well aware that Haolan must have had solid evidence to back up his words, so it was impossible for him to plead for mercy on behalf of Xi'er. Although he was very disappointed in Ning Xi'er, he had been in love with her for so many years. He really couldn't accept the fact that Xi'er had been convicted. However, as the acting family head, he knew what he could do and what he couldn't do. Since he had been chosen by the old ancestor, he still had this bit of self-control. I think Ning Xi'er has committed a terrible crime and is not suitable to live in this world. However, she's a woman, after all, and we should make the best use of her. So, I think we can give her some medicine, then find a family to marry her off to. It won't be in vain that the Ning family raised her. One of the elders suggested. The elder who had spoken was Ning Haolan's trusted aide. According to the young master's wishes, he did not want to keep Ning Xi'er in this world. However, he felt that rather than letting Ning Xi'er die, it would be better to let her live. With Ning Xier's lofty personality, this would definitely be worse than killing her. As soon as the elder spoke, the meeting hall fell silent. It was so quiet that even the sound of a needle dropping to the ground could be heard clearly. Ning Haolan, on the other hand, pursed his lips and sipped his tea without a word. When Len Ruoxue saw Ning Haolan's calm expression, she could vaguely guess that he had incited this matter. However, Ning Xi'er was not a woman who knew her place. If she caused any trouble after marrying into someone else's family or dragged the Ning family down, it would not be worth it. After a long while. Does anyone else have a different opinion? Ning Yuan asked. All the elders were silent. No one else has any objections? Ning Yuan repeated. Silence was the only reply. All right then. Just do as the 10th elder said. But we have to carefully consider the family we're marrying into. Ning Yuan didn't comment, but as long as Ning Xi'er could stay alive, he wouldn't have hurt her for so long in vain. Didn't the Yao family want to form an alliance with our Ning family through marriage? Ning Xi'er is just right to go there. Ning Haolan said with a smile. Ning Yuan looked at Ning Haolan with a profound look. He was secretly shocked. He didn't expect that Haolan would actually want to send Ning Xi'er to the Yao family. In that case, wouldn't Ning Xi'er become the Ning family's hostage in the Yao family? And this hostage was someone who had made a mistake, so he couldn't do anything to the Ning family. If the Yao family knew that the Ning family had sent such a person over, would they be angry? The answer was a definite yes. Young master's suggestion is really good. The 10th elder chimed in with a smile. Previously, when the Yao family had sent someone to talk to them about this matter, they had been completely unwilling to pay attention to the Yao family. However, with the presence of Ning Shi'er, the person who had made a mistake, everything seemed to have become logical. MMH. This is a good idea. Another elder chimed in. After that, some elders began to agree with him one after another. After hearing their words, Ning Yuan knew that this matter could not be changed. However, he still wanted to remind the elders who were sitting. Chapter 1602, I'm not close to you, too, young master, Miss Leng, elders, if we really marry Ning Shi'er over, then I'm afraid Ning Shi'er will be controlled by the Yao family. Have you thought about the consequences? Ning Yuan asked calmly. Acting family head, Ning Shi'er is a member of the family who has made a mistake. Furthermore, she framed the young master and murdered a member of the family. Even if she doesn't marry into the Yao family, I'm afraid she won't be able to survive such a serious crime. However, she must die a worthy death. It's time for her to return the favor. He had never liked Ning Shi'er, but the young master had not allowed them to make a move, so they could only wait and see. Yes, yes. As soon as the 10th elder finished speaking, all the elders nodded in unison. Seeing this, Ning Yuan knew that they had made up their minds. He heaved a long sigh of relief and did not dwell on this matter. How will Ning Wen and Ning Duan be punished? Ning Yuan didn't want to ask about Ning Shi'er's matter anymore, so he changed the topic. Although Ning Wen was threatened, a mistake is a mistake. He should be sent to Bian City. As for Ning Duan, he will also be sent to Biancheng. Ning Haolan said indifferently. That's a good idea, young master. The 10th elder immediately chimed in, and the other elders followed suit, not to be outdone. Leng Ruoxue chuckled inwardly when she saw this. It seemed like Ning Haolan had been planning this for quite some time. Otherwise, how could it have gone so smoothly? These elders, each and every one of them actually all became echo bugs. However, this was also good. At least it saved them a lot of trouble. Then it's decided. Tomorrow, send Ning Wen and Ning Duan to Biancheng. As for Ning Shi'er, send them off as well. As long as Ning Shi'er was still alive, he didn't want to see her anymore. The elders had no objections to this decision. After the discussion, Leng Ruoxue followed Ning Haolan back to Lan Garden. Leng Ruoxue sipped her tea calmly as she sat in the pavilion in Lan Garden. She sized up Ning Haolan, and her gaze made him feel uneasy. Why are you looking at me like that? Ning Haolan could not help but ask. You didn't take the chance to kill Ning Shi'er. I thought you hated her. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Of course I hate her, but Uncle has always doted on her. Uncle doesn't want her to die, so I have to give him some face. As for how long she can live, it's not up to me to decide. However, she will definitely be drugged before she gets married. There's no doubt about that. Ning Haolan said with confidence. What medicine? Leng Ruoxue was very curious. Soul forgetting. Ning Haolan uttered the word softly. Does this count as karma? Leng Ruoxue laughed coldly. Ning Shi'er would never have thought that she would become a fool one day. She had ordered people to cast soul forget on Ning Shan and Ning Hai, but in the end, she couldn't escape from the soul forget. However, she felt that it was a little too little to only cast soul forget on her. She had yet to take revenge for Ning Shan. From the day she was born, her fate was already decided. Ning Haolan said coldly. Leng Ruoxue and Ning Haolan chatted for a while before heading back to the residence. After returning to her own residence, she handed the little one over to Grape and gave her some instructions before going to sleep. When she came out of the room, it was night. Just as she reached the courtyard, she saw second elder sweeping the courtyard with a broom. Leng Ruoxue could not help but laugh when she saw this. Ha ha ha. The way the second elder was holding a broom was too funny. He didn't expect him to use a broom to sweep the yard. Didn't he know that using skills would be faster? Among the skills that she had learned, there was a very useless spirit skill called the cleaning skill. Moreover, this cleaning skill was a spirit skill that was used by all elements. Not to mention that it was a low-level skill, it didn't have much use. However, it was not bad to use it to wash things and sweep the yard. However, her intuition told her that second elder was a person of high status and had a short memory. He would not have thought of such a low-level spirit skill. Thanks, the truth was similar to Leng Ruoxi's guess. Second elder, who had been depressed and working the entire day, only wanted to finish his work as soon as possible. How could he have thought of so much? What's more, over the years, there were only a few godly skills that he had used. As for spirit skills, he had long forgotten them. With his current state of mind, he could not remember them. Besides, Grape had given him the broom, so he subconsciously decided that he had to use a broom to sweep the yard. He could only blame himself for not paying attention to such trivial matters. Otherwise, he would not have been trapped by a broom. The second elder scanned the room from time to time. When he saw Leng Ruoxue, he turned his head away and avoided her gaze arrogantly. He could clearly feel that Leng Ruoxue was mocking him. Second elder, how much work do you have to finish? Leng Ruoxue smiled as she sat on the stone chair and asked. The second elder left her with his back. At this moment, the grapes and lotus seeds happened to be serving the dishes that had just been prepared. The fragrance of the dishes drifted into the second elder's nose, immediately attracting his appetite. Let's eat. Leng Ruoxue laughed evilly. Good. Miss, I'll go get Ningbo. After saying that, Grape left. After a while, she and Ningbo came back together. The four of them sat on chairs. The second elder, who was sweeping the courtyard, saw this scene and stood in the courtyard with a broom, staring helplessly. These people were really too much. It was fine if they didn't let him eat, but they still wanted to eat it in front of him. Weren't they craving him? This was preposterous. Second elder. You can leave first. Well, continue to sweep the yard after we're done eating. Grape said. Oh. The second elder acknowledged softly and walked to a corner with his head drooped. However, his resentful eyes were still fixed on Leng Ruoxue and the other three. The restless Ningbo peeked at the second elder from the corner of his eyes. He felt weak and whispered to Leng Ruoxue, Miss. Are we just going to let the second elder watch us eat? What's wrong? Leng Ruoxue raised her eyebrows. Aren't we going a little too far? Ningbo asked shamelessly. I won tea. It's not the first time he's seen it, he'll get used to it. Leng Ruoxue did not agree, but Ningbo broke out in a cold sweat. And their soft conversation naturally couldn't win against the reverent god's second elder. The second elder's face was flushed red. He was so angry that his cheeks were puffed up. With a flick of his sleeves, he left Leng Ruoxi's courtyard in a huff. The second elder didn't come back until late at night. The next day, when Grape saw the second elder, she told him very directly, Second elder, you didn't finish your work yesterday, so you won't have any food today. The second elder looked up at Grape and went to work without saying anything. Chapter 1603, I'm not close to you? 3. Seeing the second elder's diligent appearance, Grape was a little uncomfortable. Was this the second elder? It couldn't have been switched by someone, right? The second elder worked very hard in the morning. When it was close to noon, he went to line up again to get vegetables. This time, when everyone present saw him, they all took the initiative to give up their positions to him. Unfortunately, he did not appreciate it at all and even scolded those people who flattered him. After that, those people all went to their respective masters to cry and complain, and the impression of the second elder's bad temper was rooted in their hearts. At the same time, the Ning family sent Ning Wen, Ning Duan, and Ning Shi'er away. However, only Ning Shi'er had been fed with the soul forgetfulness. When Leng Ruoxue saw Ning Shi'er was still smiling at her foolishly. After that, she followed Ning Haolan's men without making any noise. The culprit, Ning Shi was definitely not coming back. As for Ning Duan and Ning Wen, it would all be up to Ning Haolan. Although one of them had helped Ning Shi steal the medicine, and the other had helped Ning Shi drug her, they were just two small fries in her eyes. They were not worth her effort at all. Besides, Ning Haolan was still around. How could he let off people who had betrayed him so easily? No matter how many difficulties that person had, it was not a reason for betrayal. After Ning Xier's matter was settled, Leng Ruoxue returned to her own residence. When Ning Haolan and Qing Xian went to look for her, they happened to see her lying listlessly on a recliner, sunbathing. In the garden, Ning Haolan and Qing Xian sat opposite Leng Ruoxue. "Great aunt. You really know how to enjoy yourself," Qing Xian said with an envious look. Leng Ruoxue rolled her eyes at Qing Xian, but she did not say anything. "Great aunt, what's wrong with you? Why are you so listless? Who made you angry? Tell me and I'll help you deal with him," Qing Xian said, taking on all the responsibility. "I was thinking about the challenge Ning Xie gave me." Leng Ruoxue sighed. "Ah. Didn't she leave the Ning family for the Yao family's domain?" Qing Xian asked in a daze. "Yup. Our challenge has a stake, AI. What a pity." Leng Ruoxue's face was filled with regret. "Great aunt. You're not as strong as her, so even if you put a bet, you might not be able to win. So, you should be glad that you kept your bet," Qing Xian said as he wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. He never thought that Leng Ruoxue would be depressed because of those prizes. One should know that she might not be able to obtain those things. "Little Xian, how can you boost other people's morale and destroy my prestige?" Leng Ruoxue was a little unhappy and did not show Qing Xian a good face. "Great aunt. I'm doing this for your own good. You have to understand my heart." Qing Xian's handsome face was full of grievances. Leng Ruoxue rolled her eyes at him again and did not comment on Qing Xian's words. At this moment, Grape came to report. "Miss. Young masters, the master of the Ning family has invited you." Grape smiled and said very politely. Leng Ruoxue and the other two looked at each other, then headed to Master Ning's residence together. As soon as they entered Master Ning's courtyard, they heard a burst of hearty laughter. Leng Ruoxue had never heard this before. However, when Qing Xian heard this voice, he turned around and wanted to leave. "Damn brat! Where do you think you're going?" Suddenly, a deafening roar reverberated in the ears of the three of them. Immediately after, a tall middle-aged man descended from the sky and blocked Qing Xian's path. The man was in his early 40s. He had handsome facial features and sharp eyes. He had a reserved temperament and was extraordinary in strength. According to Leng Ruoxue's observation, this half-grown old man's strength was above the great elders and was also a reverent god-level expert. Moreover, he seemed to have a close relationship with Qing Xian. "Ancestor!" Qing Xian called out unwillingly, but his eyes drifted over to Ning Haolan, his gaze asking, "How did the old ancestor know I was here?" Ning Haolan returned his gaze with an innocent look, with the words "I don't know" either written in the depths of his eyes. "You little brat. You still remember me, your ancestor?" The middle-aged man, who was also the head of the Qing clan, said unhappily. In his heart, he was cursing Qing Xian with dog blood. That damned brat, he actually ran away from home like others. Humph. Did you really think I couldn't find you? I can forget anyone, but I don't dare to forget our ancestor. Qing Xian smiled and tried to please him. Oh, really? However, I heard that you were having so much fun that you didn't even want to go home. What's more, you even created a scandal for me. You've completely disgraced our Qing family. The head of the Qing family shouted at the top of his lungs. Leng Ruoxue looked at his energetic appearance and could not help but sigh. As expected of a reverent god. His aura was strong, but what was the scandal he was talking about? Her curiosity was piqued. Thanks, what scandal? Qing Xian's face was also full of question marks. He blinked his bright black eyes and asked shamelessly. Of course it's yours and Halan's. The head of the Qing clan gritted his teeth and roared in exasperation. Arg! It can't be. Qing Xian's expression changed drastically while Ning Haolan's face darkened. Leng Ruoxiu's eyes were sparkling with anticipation. There's gossip. Old ancestor Qing, did you misunderstand? How could there be a scandal between me and Qing Xian? Ning Haolan was utterly confused. Ancestor, this is impossible. Qing Xian was dumbfounded. Do you think I would lie to you two juniors? The master of the Qing family scowled. It was very depressing to be doubted by others. Ning Haolan and Qing Xian looked at each other, speechless. Of course, they did not doubt that the divine reverend would lie to them about such a thing, but this was too suspicious. Little girl, tell me. Do you think I would lie to them? Seeing that his two grandsons did not believe him, the master of the Qing clan shifted the topic to Leng Ruoxue. This girl must be old man Ning's goddaughter. She's indeed an absolute beauty. Her face and temperament are all top-notch. It's just that her cultivation is a little low. However, cultivation can be cultivated, so this isn't a big problem, the head of the Qing clan thought to himself after sizing up Leng Ruoxue from head to toe. Leng Ruoxue hesitated. How was she supposed to say this? She wasn't familiar with this half-grown old man. Little girl, I heard from old man Ning that you're a straightforward person, why are you hemming and hawing? The head of the Qing clan said with some dissatisfaction. I don't know you well. That's why I can't answer your question. Leng Ruoxue thought for a while and said helplessly. Ah. The head of the Qing clan looked at Leng Ruoxue, dumbfounded. He thought to himself, isn't this girl a little too honest? If it was someone else, they would have stuck to him if they had the opportunity to echo him. Why would they be like her? For a time, a strong sense of defeat emerged in his heart. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Following that, two laughter rang out, and two more figures appeared in front of them. Old man Qing, I've told you that your identity is useless to Shuai. The master of the Ning family laughed arrogantly and proudly. Humph. You're beautiful, my ass. The head of the Qing family was burning with anger as he roared in a bad mood, his face completely red. I have the capital to be beautiful. You can't be jealous. The master of the Ning family said with a smile, his expression becoming more and more smug, making the master of the Qing family so angry that he blew at his beard and glared, stomping his feet. Godfather. Great elder. At this moment, Leng Ruoxue called out sweetly. Be good. Shuai. This old man is the ancestor of the Qing family, quickly ask for a meeting gift from him, he has a lot of good things. The master of the Ning family started to rob them rudely, and he kept giving Leng Ruoxue meaningful looks. Greetings, Patriarch Qing. Leng Ruoxue understood and greeted him with a smile. Damn old man. Just you wait. Master Qing glared at Master Ning, then painfully handed Leng Ruoxue a dark red storage ring and said, Little girl, I'll give you all the things inside. Ugh. Leng Ruoxue did not expect the Qing clan's head to be so generous. She took the ring and used her divine sense to take a look. It was only then that she realized that it was filled with medicinal herbs, and many of them were extremely precious. She immediately understood that the Qing clan's head had clearly made preparations. He even pretended to be very unwilling. What a hypocrite! Leng Ruoxue defined Master Qing as a hypocrite. However, she had really wronged old man Qing. Although this meeting gift had been prepared by old man Qing a long time ago and was rather sincere, it was two different things for her to give it to him first and old man Ning. That was why he did not give Master Ning a good look. In addition, he acted like he was in pain to leave a deep impression on Leng Ruoxue. Who asked him to know that Leng Ruoxue was an alchemist? She was also the goddaughter of old man Ning, so the head elder of the Craftsmen's Guild headquarters also valued her. In this way, Leng Ruoxu's value would increase by many times, and he had no choice but to value her. Thank you, Qing clan head. Leng Ruoxue replied courteously. Her beautiful face didn't have an overjoyed expression. Upon seeing this, the Qing clan's patriarch silently praised her in his heart. He didn't expect this little girl to be so calm. This was truly rare. If it was anyone else who received such a gift, they definitely wouldn't be as calm as her. It was as if they had received an ordinary item. Furthermore, from Leng Ruoxu's expression, it didn't seem like she was pretending to be calm. In fact, the value of his meeting gift was not low. Many of the precious herbs in it were hard to buy even with 1,000 gold, and he gave this generous gift not only because of the relationship between the master of the Ning family and the head elder of the Craftsmen's Guild, but also to test the waters. Chapter 1604, The Jealous Master Ning. 1. He and Old Man Ning had a mutual understanding and had always planned to marry each other. However, their standards were too high, and there had never been anyone among their juniors that the other party was satisfied with. As a result, the two old men had been picking and choosing, and Ning Haolan and Qing Xian's marriage had been delayed. He had heard from home that Old Man Ning had acknowledged a goddaughter and doted on her greatly. In addition, that brat Qing Xian had run to the Ning family to avoid his marriage, so he had come to visit the Ning family. He had killed 2 birds with 1 stone while he was at it, seeing Old Man Ning's goddaughter and his unfilial grandson. After seeing Leng Ruoxue, he was extremely satisfied. He didn't expect Old Man Ning to have such good taste. However, this little girl didn't seem easy to deal with. Thinking of this, he sneaked a glance at Qing Xian. When he saw Qing Xian's careful and vigilant look, he suddenly felt irritated. This brat only knew how to make him angry all day long. However, he had a weakness, and that was that he did not like to get married. As long as someone in the family suggested for him to get married and have children, it was like taking his life. In his words, it was good to be free and unfettered, and he did not want to find a burden. As his chosen successor, not only did he have high hopes for Qing Xian, but he also doted on him. If Qing Xian really did not want to get married, he would not force him. However, this brat liked to make him angry too much. As long as he was angry, he would make a fuss about his marriage. Once he did so, Qing Xian would run away from home. Over time, the two of them had a tacit understanding. He could tolerate Qing Xian being surrounded by flowers without a single leaf touching him, and he could tolerate him not wanting to get married, but he couldn't tolerate Qing Xian creating a gay scandal for him. So, as soon as he heard the news, he rushed over without stopping, afraid that it would come true. What was even more infuriating was that when he very seriously told the news to Old Man Ning and the chief elder of the Craftsmen's Guild headquarters, the two of them almost laughed out loud. He was really angry. However, now that he had seen Leng Ruoxue, he had other thoughts. The head of the Qing family dragged Qing Xian with one hand and Leng Ruoxue with the other. They walked straight into the garden of the main courtyard. Behind him, Master Ning and the great elder looked at each other, smiled, and walked in together. After sitting down in the pavilion in the garden, Master Qing sized Leng Ruoxue up. After a long while, like a big bad wolf who had kidnapped a little white rabbit, he said with a kind face, "Little girl, I like you very much. How about I bring you to our Qing family to play when we have time?" "Thank you for your kind intentions, Qing family head. I'll definitely go as long as I have time." Leng Ruoxue glanced at her godfather. Even though she didn't know what this old man was up to, since the Qing family head was godfather's friend, he had to give him some face. "Then why don't you come with me today?" the Qing clan's patriarch said happily. "Ah." Leng Ruoxue was a little dumbfounded. What was going on? The head of the Qing family was a man of action. It was rare for him to be so anxious to invite someone to his house as a guest. However, she could not go now. "Old man Cheng, are you here to steal my woman?" When Master Ning heard Master Cheng's words, his face darkened with anger and he said unhappily, "How can I? I'm really sincere in wanting to entertain your precious goddaughter, you have to understand my painstaking efforts. The head of the Cheng clan felt very wronged and even kicked Qing Xian in the dark. However, Qing Xian did not understand his ancestors' meaning, so he did not go along with his words. Thanks seeing this, the head of the Qing family was even angrier. He kept cursing in his heart. This little brat, how could he be so blind? Thank you, Master Cheng, but I can't go to the Qing family right now. I've already decided to return to the godly mainland after the Ning family's competition. Leng Ruoxue said with a faint smile. However, her words were like a bomb, blasting Master Ning's mind into a blank. The master of the Ning family was like an abandoned wife. He looked at Leng Ruoxue with extreme resentment and said in a choked voice, Shuai is going to abandon her godfather. Woo! Why is my life so hard? Ai. Shuai. I wonder when I'll see you again after you return to the divine mainland. The first elder also had a sad look on his face, and tears could be seen in his shrewd eyes. When Leng Ruoxue saw how well they sang, her forehead was filled with black lines. She thought to herself, Godfather, First Elder, do you guys have to be so exaggerated? It wasn't like she was going to leave and never come back, so why did it seem like they were going to part forever? Those who didn't know would think that something big had happened. Woo-woo, seeing that Leng Ruoxue didn't have much of a reaction, Master Ning and First Elder actually hugged each other and cried. Everyone was dumbfounded. Among them, the Qing clan head felt the most guilty. If he had not suggested for Leng Ruoxue to visit his clan, she would not have said that she wanted to return to the divine mainland. How could this be good? Godfather, Great Elder. Don't be so exaggerated. Leng Ruoxue said helplessly. To Godfather and Great Elder, traveling between the divine world and the divine continent was a small matter. Now, these two people had to do this. What was their purpose? Shuai, have you really decided to go back after the competition? The master of the Ning family couldn't help but ask, but in his heart, he was thinking, should we postpone the family competition indefinitely? Yes, Godfather. After I return to the divine mainland, I can cultivate in peace and try to meet up with you guys in the divine world as soon as possible. Leng Ruoxue consoled. Actually, she could already feel the barrier to breaking through. However, this was the God world, after all. She was afraid of causing too much of a commotion and things would get out of hand. She also didn't want to reveal her trump card too early, so returning to the God continent to break through was the safest option. However, with her godfather's stubbornness, he probably wouldn't let her leave so easily. Thus, she had already prepared herself for a long battle. When Master Ning heard Leng Ruoxue's words, he knew that she had already made up her mind. However, he just couldn't bear to part with her. He had been cultivating for no years. If Shuai really went into seclusion, he didn't know when she would come out. What if he missed her? Seeing her godfather's conflicted look, Leng Ruoxue knew that she couldn't push him too far. Hence, she changed the topic. Godfather. Shouldn't we properly receive the Cheng clan head's esteemed guest? Leng Ruoxue suggested with a smile. Right. Right. You should treat me well. The head of the Cheng family was overjoyed to hear this. Whoa. He was finally valued. It really wasn't easy. Daughters were still the best. A daughter was a father's intimate little cotton jacket. At this moment, his gaze towards Leng Ruoxue was even more fiery. What was the reason? Because he had come to the Ning family many times, but he had never been given any attention. Every time the old man of the Ning family saw him, he looked as if he was not welcome, as if he was a poor relative who came to ask for money. Sigh. As long as he thought of this, his face would be covered in tears. It was so miserable. Even so, the treatment he received from Old Man Ning was considered good. At least every time he came, although Old Man Ning had a straight face and did not give him any special treatment, at least he did not have to worry about food and drink. Compared to that old thing of the Yao family, he was content. It should be known that if it was that old man of the Yao family who came to visit, he would have to pay for his food and drink. Chapter 1605, the jealous Master Ning, to entertain my ass. Shuai, you don't know how expensive rice is. Our Ning family is almost out of food, how can we have the money to entertain him? Well, just eat whatever we have. Seeing the anticipation on the Qing family's old man's face, Master Ning poured a bucket of cold water directly on the Qing family's head, drenching the Qing family's master's heart. Ugh! Her godfather's words made Lin Ruoxue break out in a cold sweat. She couldn't help but wipe the cold sweat off her forehead. She thought to herself, godfather and clan head Qing don't look like they have any enmity. How could she treat him like this? She was extremely puzzled. As if he could read Lin Ruoxue's mind, First Elder secretly transmitted a message to Lin Ruoxue, Shuai. Old man Ning is famous for being stingy among us old friends. Except for my treatment, the others' treatment. Sigh. You'll find out soon enough. By the way, when the head of the Yao family comes to visit the Ning family, he'll pay for his own food and lodging. The Wen family is even worse off. Don't be fooled by their in-laws with the Ning family. If they stay in the Ning family, it'll be more expensive than the most expensive suite in the best inn. I see. Lin Ruoxue understood, but she was more speechless than ever. However, since her godfather had such a characteristic, as his goddaughter, it wouldn't be good for her to undermine him. So, she pretended to be deaf and dumb. In any case, the head of the Chen clan should be used to it. Lin Ruoxue stopped talking. She sipped her tea while looking into the distance, making it impossible for others to know what she was thinking. Seeing this, the master of the Ning family was also quite upset. He knew that Shuai was homesick. Old man Ning, can't you be generous for once? Seeing that the atmosphere was a little gloomy, the head of the Qing family said angrily. Sure. However, you have to pay for half of the meal. Master Ning thought he was very generous. The head of the Qing family was so angry that he stopped. I'll go hunting on my own in the mountains. Which mountain do you want to go hunting on? The mountains in the Ning family's divine domain all belong to the Ning family, and the prey there is no exception. The master of the Ning family said angrily. You want me to pay for the hunting? The head of the Qing clan was so angry that his chest was heaving up and down, and his old face was flushed red. That's right. You're very smart. The Ning family's master said happily. Bickering with the Qing family's old man had greatly reduced his sadness from Shuai's departure, so of course, he would not let this old man go. The one surnamed Ning. I've finally seen through you today. The head of the Qing family was burning with anger. You've only seen me clearly today. I thought you'd already seen through me. However, it's not too late now. The master of the Ning family grumbled. Listening to their conversation, Ning Haolan and Qing Xian's foreheads involuntarily rolled with black lines. The two of them had the same thought in their hearts: these two old men were too embarrassing. However, from their conversation, Lin Ruoxue recalled her future. Although she was ready to return to the divine mainland, she wouldn't be able to stay there for long. One day, she would come to the divine world to live, but she didn't have a place to live in the divine world. She couldn't wait until the day she came and still live in the Ning family's divine realm. Now that she was living here without any burden, the Ning family didn't dare to say anything because in the eyes of many of the Ning family, she was just a guest who would leave one day. So, even if they were dissatisfied, they didn't dare to show her any attitude. Thanks, however, once she became a deity, she would be able to live in the divine realm. If she came to the Ning family at that time, not to mention whether the Ning family would welcome her, she would inevitably feel like she was living under someone else's roof. Therefore, unless she had no other choice, she was not willing to live in someone else's house. Therefore, finding a fixed territory had become her top priority, which could be put on the agenda. However, the matter of finding a territory could not be rushed. Although the divine realm was huge, there were many clans in the divine realm. Many decent places were almost all occupied, while the ownerless lands were either remote or dangerous. None of them could be considered an ideal place. Not only that, if she wanted to find territory, she could only start from ownerless land. Because in the immortal realm, relying on strength to snatch other people's territory would be seen as a public enemy. Of course, if other people were willing to submit, it would be a different matter. A land without an owner in the divine realm? Which one should I choose? Len Ruoxu's thoughts slowly drifted. She only came back to her senses when she felt someone gently pushing her. The person who pushed her was the first elder. Shuer, what are you thinking? You're so lost in your thoughts. The grand elder asked worriedly. I'm thinking about the territory. Len Ruoxue said with an embarrassed smile. Territory? MMH. It's time to think about the territory. The great elder nodded. With Shue'er's level of freakishness, she would probably come to the immortal realm soon. If she didn't have a place to stay at that time, it would be quite a waste. What's there to think about territory, just come and live here. Master Ning glared at Len Ruoxue. Godfather. I have quite a few subordinates, and I can't possibly have all of them come to the Ning residence. Len Ruoxue could not help but ask. What's wrong? The Ning family's territory is huge, your people are nothing. The master of the Ning family said disapprovingly. Godfather. My subordinates are used to being wild, I'm afraid it's not convenient to live here. Len Ruoxue said, feeling a little troubled. If they really stayed here, her subordinates could only stay in their own courtyard forever if they did not want to have any conflicts with the Ning family. But, was that possible? Why would it be inconvenient? Shuer, don't worry. With me around, no one will dare to show them any disrespect. The master of the Ning family knew Len Ruoxue's personality, so he promised. Godfather. I appreciate your kindness, but as the saying goes, a golden or silver nest is not as good as one's own doghouse. So, in order to let my grandpas live happily and my subordinates live carefreely, I think I should have a territory. Besides, I also have several families attached to me in Haotian continent. When they come to the divine realm, they can't live in the Ning family together, can they? And our Leng family has many clansmen on the Haotian continent. Len Ruoxue said in a reserved manner. When Master Ning heard Len Ruoxue's words, he frowned and fell into deep thought. Although he knew that what Shuer said made sense, he just couldn't get over it, so he kept a straight face and didn't say anything. Old man Ning. I understand how you feel, but Shuer is right. It's not convenient to live in the Ning family's main residence, so don't force me. First Elder advised. It is. It's not like Shuer doesn't have a family, how can she live with your Ning family? Those who didn't know would think that Shuer's family was a subsidiary family of your Ning family. Thus, how could they possibly have a high status in the divine realm? The master of the Chen clan also advised. If it wasn't for the fact that his clan's strength was too weak, it was likely that no clan would be willing to become another clan's subsidiary clan. Because in the divine realm, the subsidiary clan was equivalent to a servant in the eyes of the master clan. Even if they were servants, how could they receive the respect of others? Therefore, he didn't believe that old man Ning would bear to let his precious goddaughter be ill. Chapter 1606, The Jealous Master Ning, 3. Are you the only ones who know how to be good people? I've become the one making things difficult. Humph. Hearing the words of the great elder and the master of the Qing family, the master of the Ning family was even more furious. After being criticized by these two old men, he became the bad guy instead. Just thinking about it made him angry. After he finished speaking, he flicked his sleeves and turned to leave angrily. Godfather. Seeing that her godfather had left in a fit of anger, Len Ruoxue was both angry and amused. Shuer, you don't need to bother with him. That old man just needs a beating, just leave him hanging for a few days. The head of the Chen clan said with a smile. He's shy. The first elder agreed with Master Cheng, so he didn't feel much about Master Ning's departure. Shuer, I heard that your cooking skills are not bad. I'll have to rely on you to satisfy my craving tonight. The head of the Qing clan said with a face full of anticipation. Now, he discovered that it was very good that old man Ning wasn't here to cause trouble, hee. I hope that old man won't be so thick-skinned as to come back by himself, he thought to himself wickedly. Good. I definitely won't let clan head Qing down. Len Ruoxue nodded. Hee. Little girl Shuer, you see, we're already so familiar with each other, and I'm also calling you little girl Shuer. Why are you still calling me family head Qing? The Qing clan's clan head said with some dissatisfaction and spared no effort to get closer to Len Ruoxue. Ah. Then what should I call you? Len Ruoxue asked helplessly. She thought to herself, we're not that close, right? It was all because this old man was very familiar with her. Moreover, she was also in a difficult position. This old man and godfather were of the same generation, so she couldn't simply call him that. Hee. Just call me uncle, I'm younger than old man Ning. The head of the Qing clan said with a smile. He was very satisfied with Len Ruoxue's understanding. Then I'll call you Uncle Qing. Len Ruoxue said. Since they had already said so much, she had to give face to the Qing clan head. Mmh. Good girl. The head of the Qing family was overjoyed, but he couldn't help but think that he would call him uncle for the time being and change it in the future. Seeing how warm and friendly his old grandmadam was towards Len Ruoxue, Qing Xian was dumbfounded. Uncle? Did he have an elder now? Previously, he had called Len Ruoxue a great aunt for fun. But now? What should he call Len Ruoxue? Uncle Qing. I'll go back and prepare something. I'll send someone to invite you to dinner. Len Ruoxue was very polite. After she finished speaking, she bowed to the Qing clan head and first elder before turning to leave. Looking at Len Ruoxue's back, the head of the Qing clan couldn't help but sigh, ai. It's good to have a daughter. The great elder looked at the patriarch of the Qing clan as if he were a monster and calmly reminded him, Old man Qing, your daughters are no less than old man Ning's. What's the use of having more? None of them were considerate. He was always scheming to get more benefits, and this stinky brat was also troublesome. You only know how to make me angry every day. The head of the Qing clan glared at Qing Xian and roared in anger. Ancestor. Qing Xian felt very wronged. Sob. He had been shot while lying down. He had suffered an undeserved disaster for no reason, all because of the jealousy of the old ancestor. You're wronged, my ass. Patting Qing Xian's head, the head of the Qing family also left in a huff, leaving the three dumbfounded people behind. After Len Ruoxue returned to her residence, she instructed Grape and Lotus Seed to prepare dinner. She even gave them a menu for dinner and asked them to cook according to the dishes on it. Looking at the menu in their hands, large beads of sweat dripped from the foreheads of the Grapes and Lotus Seeds. Oh my God! Why are there so many? Can you eat it? Miss? Are you eating these tonight? Grape could not help but ask. I'll treat Uncle Qing to dinner tonight, so I have to make more. Len Ruoxue said with a smile. Uncle Qing? What Uncle Qing? Grape's eyes widened, and her beautiful little face was full of question marks. She and Lotus Seed had not followed Master Ning to his residence, so they did not know who the Uncle Qing their miss was talking about was. The clan head of the Qing clan. Len Ruoxue said lightly. Arg. The head of the Qing family. The Qing clan's old ancestor. Grape confirmed. Are there many heads of the Qing family? Len Ruoxue was puzzled. Thanks, not much. Not much. It's just that the acting clan heads of the great clans are sometimes addressed as clan heads. Grape quickly said. Oh. Len Ruoxue nodded. Miss. It's very difficult to serve the Qing family's ancestor. We don't know his taste, and if he's not satisfied with the dishes, won't we annoy him? Grape was very worried, her palm-sized face was scrunched up. In fact, she had never cooked for her ancestors before, so she was very nervous. She was afraid that her provocative ancestors would not like the dishes she made and affect her miss. I won tea. Don't worry, just cook according to your usual standards. Besides, there are so many dishes that the two of you won't be able to finish. I'll cook with you. Len Ruoshua laughed evilly. Arg. That's good. Hearing that Len Ruoshua would also cook, Grape was relieved. However, on second thought, she pouted her little mouth again. Miss. You're so bad, why didn't you tell us before? We were worried for nothing. Ha ha ha. If I had told you earlier, I wouldn't have been able to see your conflicted expressions. Len Ruoshua replied matter-of-factly, but she did it on purpose. Miss. Grape's resentful eyes floated over, feeling wronged. Grape. Go to the kitchen and prepare the dishes first. Oh right, ask the second elder to take some food. Just say that we don't have enough food to entertain the head of the Qing family tonight. Len Ruoshua ignored Grape's resentful gaze and ordered calmly. N. Grape nodded and left with Lotus. After they left, Len Ruoshua gave it some thought and got Qing Ju to prepare some dishes that were not available in the god world. She also caught a few silver snow fish and stored them all in an empty storage ring. Following that, she walked towards the kitchen. Len Ruoshua, Grape, Lotus Seed, and Ningbo, who had rushed over to help, were busy for the entire afternoon. When the dishes were almost ready, Len Ruoshua instructed the second elder to invite someone over. As soon as Master Cheng, Grand Elder, and Master Ning, who still had a dark expression, entered the courtyard, they smelled the aroma of food. It smells so good. I'm in for a treat. The head of the Cheng clan was so happy that his face was almost blooming with a smile. At their age and cultivation, there were fewer and fewer things to pursue. The only thing that could move them was food. Humph. The master of the Ning family snorted, flicked his sleeves, and walked straight to the dining room alone. Hee hee. This old thing is still angry. The head of the Cheng clan said with a happy smile. Cheng clan head, second elder, please come in. The second elder, who was accompanying them, wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. His heart was pounding. She was jumping around, her heart was extremely nervous, but she still had to smile. Sob. Why is the master angry? He was very sure that he had not provoked the master these few days, but the master had also given him a bad look. This was taking his anger out on them. Definitely. He wanted to cry but had no tears. Who was he taking the blame for? In fact, what he didn't know was that the master of the Ning family was indeed angry, and he was angry for the whole afternoon. However, this anger was more of jealousy. He was jealous of the Cheng family's old man who was warmly received by Shuai. If he had known this would happen, he would not have let that damned old man enter his Ning family. After walking for a while, the master of the Ning family was also exhausted. Originally, when the second elder invited him, he didn't want to come in a fit of anger, but he didn't want to let that damn old man of the Qing family benefit, so he came. Humph. As long as he was here, that old man would not be able to enjoy this meal. After entering the dining room and sitting in the main seat, Master Ning was still indignantly thinking that he must make this old thing from the Qing family come in high spirits and leave in disappointment. When he saw the dishes being served one by one, the master of the Ning family didn't give way to anyone. He directly gobbled up the food. Seeing his appearance, the great elder didn't hold back. As the two of them ate the wind and cloud remnants, the master of the Qing family, who was familiar with their habits, also began to gobble up the food. The three old men were extremely protective of their food. Furthermore, while they were eating, they looked at the food on the plate. The three of them formed their own territory, filled with the dishes that they had snatched from them. They ate with their mouths, but their eyes were still fixed on the food, afraid that it would be snatched away. When Qing Xian and Ning Haolan arrived to freeload, this was the scene they saw. Their eyes widened and their mouths were half open, their faces filled with disbelief. The way they ate and the way they did it was too unsightly. Don't tell them that you know these three people. Two of them were their ancestors. Now, they were very glad that they were at home. If they were to eat this way outside, they were afraid that the Ning family, Qing family, and the Armament Guild headquarters would lose all their face. Leng Ruoxue, Grape, and Lotus Seed carried the last dish into the dining room and similarly saw the mess on the dining table. There were 3 half-grown old men who did not care about their image and were gobbling down the food. Black lines immediately rolled down from their foreheads. Ugh! This way of eating, those who didn't know would definitely think that they had been hungry for hundreds of years. Did it have to be so exaggerated? Leng Ruoxue was having a headache. Chapter 1607, The Ninth Young Mistress, 1. At this time, the master of the Ning family suddenly raised his head and saw Grape and Lotus who were carrying a dish. In a flash, he snatched the dish from Grape's hand, and the other dish in Lotus' hand was snatched away by the great elder. Not being able to snatch it, the Qing clan head peeked at Leng Ruoxue with an aggrieved expression. Seeing this, Leng Ruoxue could only look up at the roof and ignore the Qing clan head's gaze. Little girl Shuer, seeing that Leng Ruoxue had treated him like air, the master of the Qing family was full of remorse. Uncle Qing, you guys eat slowly. We won't disturb your 3 old friends' reunion. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. After she finished speaking, she gave Grape and Lotus a look, and the 3 of them quickly left the dining room. Ning Haolan and Qing Xian looked at each other, then followed. These 3 old men were too embarrassing, it was better to keep out of sight. Seeing that no one was paying attention to him, the head of the Qing family had no choice but to snatch the great elder's food himself. Who asked the great elder's strength to be inferior to his? He had the will but not the strength to deal with old man Ning. He couldn't even snatch it. Not long after Leng Ruoxue and the rest walked out of the dining hall, they did not hear First Elder's angry roar. The one surnamed Cheng. You dare to snatch my vegetables. I'm not done with you. Leng Ruoxue shook her head helplessly. Then, she sat down on a stone chair in the courtyard. Great aunt. We haven't eaten it yet. Qing Xian walked over pitifully, a cunning glint flashing across his clear, watery eyes. There's no more food. Grape, who was beside him, said. Then what do we do? Qing Xian's face was bitter. Then I won't eat it. Leng Ruoxue tried to hold back her laughter. Isn't this a shark man? Qing Xian complained. What can we do? We've done so much, but it's all eaten up by those 3 old men. Unless you go to the tiger's mouth and snatch the food. Leng Ruoxue said helplessly. I don't have the guts to do that. My family's old ancestor would be willing to sell me for delicious food. Qing Xian said with a face full of fear. It turns out that the young master of the Qing family is so worthless. Leng Ruoxue sighed. Who said it wasn't he? AI. Qing Xian felt very wronged and even sighed heavily. Leng Ruoxue smiled and looked at Qing Xian sympathetically. She did not express any opinion, but took out a map of the God world to take a look. Seeing this, Grape and Lotus Seed were puzzled. Why did the young miss take a fancy to the map? Your lady wants to choose a territory. Ning Haolan said. Arg. It's true. That's great. Grape was overjoyed. Don't be happy too early, things haven't even started. Leng Ruoxue poured cold water over the grapes. Hee hee. There'll be one. Grape said with a happy face. Miss. All the decent places in the divine realm already have owners. As for those ownerless lands, many of them are not suitable to be territories. Lotus Seed was a little worried. It wasn't easy to find this territory. It was inconvenient to find a remote place, but it was dangerous to find a remote place. Well, look for one slowly, and there'll be someone suitable. Leng Ruoxue said with a faint smile. Although the matter of the territory had been brought up to the agenda, it was not possible to find a suitable place in a day. Therefore, he couldn't be anxious. Thanks, I think we can consider this. Qing Xian pointed at a red area and suggested. What? Leng Ruoxue looked at the area that Qing Xian was pointing at. It was marked in red on the map, indicating that it was a land without an owner. However, the map did not have the name of the place. She was a little puzzled. Was Qing Xian trying to play with her? This place is surrounded by mountains on 3 sides and the sea on 1 side. In the middle is a huge deep valley, warm in winter and cool in summer. More importantly, it's a land without an owner. The terrain here is steep, easy to defend and hard to attack. It's the most suitable place for territory. Qing Xian explained with a smile. I'm afraid this place is also very dangerous, right? If you want to make this your territory, do you need to do a lot of preparation work? Leng Ruoxue understood. That's for sure. However, we can't build a city here. We can only use it as a residence. Qing Xian reminded him. Then, he added, if you want to build a city, you can't choose this place. Actually, it's not that easy to build a city in the divine realm. Therefore, I personally suggest that you find a place to live. If you don't build a city, it'll be very difficult for you to have a high status in the divine realm. Ning Haolan said disapprovingly, then rolled his eyes at Qing Xian. Based on how much his old grandmadam doted on Leng Ruoxue, he did not think that she would allow Leng Ruoxue to choose this place. Great aunt, it's very troublesome to build a city, Qing Xian said. Miss. If we want the family to develop in the long run, we have to build a city no matter how troublesome it is, even if it's just a small city. Grape quickly said. Build a city. Leng Ruoxue mumbled to herself. Speaking of building a city, she couldn't help but think of the Wanshan city on the Haotian continent. That city was built in the mountains. However, she didn't have such a big plan. The immortal realm wasn't the Haotian continent either. She was having a headache. It seemed like things were more troublesome than she had imagined. We have to build a city. Grape said with certainty. We'll talk about the city construction later. Leng Ruoxue decided to put aside the matter of building the city first. After all, she had yet to settle on a territory. Oh right, where did the second elder go? Leng Ruoxue suddenly asked. I don't know. The few of them looked at each other and shook their heads at the same time. Miss. Don't worry about him, he won't be lost. Grape said disapprovingly. You guys go find him. I have something to tell him. Leng Ruoxue ordered. Grape and Lotus Seed nodded, then walked out of the courtyard. Not long after, Lotus Seed ran back in a panic. Miss. Bad news, Grape has been caught and thrown into prison. Lotus Seed was panting from running, and she shouted anxiously. What did you just say? Leng Ruoxue stood up and said with uncertainty, Oh. She didn't hear it wrong, did she? Miss. Grape has been caught and thrown into jail. Lotus Seed calmed down a little and said with certainty. Explain the matter clearly. Leng Ruoxue's eyes were half squinted, and a cold glint was released from her eyes. Miss. After we left, we went to find the second elder separately. Later, I saw Grape being escorted by the guards and locked in a cell. I wanted to ask about the situation, but those Ning family people obviously didn't want to tell me the truth. They stammered and saw that I couldn't find anything useful, so I had to come back to report to young Miss. Lotus Seed explained. Young Master Ning. I'll have to trouble you to take me to the Ning family's prison. Leng Ruoxue said coldly. All right. Ning Haolan's head hurt. Who's the blind one this time? He thought to himself. To dare to provoke this great aunt, wasn't he tired of living? Then, Ning Haolan did not dare to waste any more time, afraid that something would happen. He immediately brought Leng Ruoxue and the rest to the Ning family's prison.